It's that time again. Welcome to the stage. Oh yeah. Where energy and creativity collide. Here we go. Let's level up. Make this something to remember. All right.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome to NACE Starleague Week 2. On the mic this evening is Septilence, that's me, with my boy Powder, and we are getting ready to bring you not one, not two, not three, not four, but 4 amazing series here tonight. Powder, how you doing, man, and how excited are you to kick things off?
Semblance, dude, I cannot express how excited I am to get in this. Excited to hop in the booth with you. It's going to be a long season and a long night ahead, but wow, don't we have some exciting matches ahead. I can't wait to get the season started. I know we're already in week 2, but it's the first broadcast. Here we are. Welcome to fall 2022.
Yeah, it's week 2. It's early. This is my favorite part of the season because this is where you really get to every win or loss isn't going to make or break your season. It's about learning. It's about improving as you go down the line. And that's my favorite thing about Rocket League and about seasons like this is watching these teams get to improve.
Absolutely. And why don't you take us today through today's schedule as well? Like we said, plenty of matchups ahead.
Absolutely. We've got Ozarks Technical Community College. That's OTC. They're going up against CMU, Central Michigan University. Coming in, match number 2, SSU, Shawnee State University versus Full Sail University. We've got the University of Kansas up against Butler University in game 3, and in game 4, closing out this evening is St. Ambrose University up against Kennesaw State University. So this is going to be a lot of familiar faces, a lot of familiar teams, and a lot of players really excited to prove themselves on our first broadcast kind of day of the season.
Absolutely. And going through this season, we got 8 weeks of the regular season ahead before that moves on into the conference play-ins. Bottom 2 seeds play in that. Top go to the conference championship, and then those lower seeds have the last chance qualifier to attempt to get their way in. 16 teams go to the playoffs where they will fight their way towards an in-person grand finals at the beginning of December. That is what all these teams are shooting for. And like you said, the long season ahead, not necessarily make a break tonight, but it's important to get it here.
It's important to establish a dominance early as well, I think. For the teams to come out early on week 2, you assume some of these teams are 1-0, right? Not everybody can lose their first week, so we've got some winners here, some technically undefeated teams. And the further you go undefeated, obviously the more impressive your team is going to be, the scarier they're going to be. And that gives your team a higher chance of being at those in-person grand finals December 3rd and 4th. December feels so far away, but it's surprisingly close. It feels like it could just be around the corner, just a couple of months away. And it is going to be every single week matters the most. One of the coolest things we've got going on at NACE is, of course, that scholarship prizing, playing video games at home and getting some money to do it. That's pretty darn cool if you ask me. $1,500 for first place, $750 for second place, and $375 for third place.
Absolutely. Like you said, just money in your pocket to walk away just playing some video games out in the lab with your friends. Just a great opportunity for these players this season. And for our sponsor as well, Extra Life. Happy to have them on board with us. Go and check out and join their super team page today. We know they'd love you to join and be a part of what they represent. And for the format, it's an exciting one ahead for Rocket League. If you've not watched this before, 5-minute games, unlimited overtime, golden goal scenario, best of 5. First to 3 will win the series. We play on default settings here, and the home team will take the blue side. And Septilence, when we take a look at these rosters as well, there are a couple players we have seen before. I've gotten to see Central Michigan play, not this full roster, but a couple players on here. An interesting matchup ahead. I think they're going to be very even. I'm very excited to see how this turns out.
Most definitely. Coming out from Ozarks, we've got Super T, we've got Ty and Storm to wrap things up on that third player. In CMU, Central Michigan, they're bringing out Bishop Jason, D-Sure1 or D-Sherl. We never fully decided on that. And Bakul72. So I'm really excited to see what these players can bring out, kind of what energy comes out quick. And this is going to be unique as well because we're getting a true game one coming up. They know very little about one another. They're coming into a season kind of like freshly hatched chicks or whatever you want to call that. I'm really eager to see the play styles and the team compositions these teams utilize. Are we going to see, that well-rounded play style? Are we going to see that hyper-aggressive pace controller? Are we going to see that hard defense? It really comes down to each team's individual strategies and play styles on which team can walk away. And it's not about just game one. You've got games at least 2 and 3 as well, if not games 4 and 5 to wrap things up.
And that's really the exciting part about the beginning of the season is that, they all haven't figured it out quite yet. Like you said, we got some teams coming in here 1-0. Some might be walking in with a loss in that first week. It's just time to get things situated. We mentioned it's a long season ahead. You want to take wins when you can, but you might drop a few at the beginning of the season just due to trying to situate a new roster. Like a lot of colleges will change things up a lot. So exciting to see how they play here tonight in week 2. When you start to gain that little bit of ground as you head through the 8 weeks, you start to get it here in week 2 to try to move forward in the rest of the season. That's the fun part about it.
Absolutely. And like you said, sometimes teams have to change things whether they want to or not. Players graduate. Players have jobs, so they have other things they have to go work on. They're not able to dedicate to esports maybe as much as they wanted, and that really does force a team to adapt. And like you said, only being here in week 2, a lot of those newer teams, a lot of those adapting teams probably haven't kind of ironed out all the kinks yet, right? There's probably some problems here or there, and we're going to see if those problems come to light tonight. We've got 8 teams. You've got to assume at least one of them has at least one new player. There's got to be something going on that we are not ready for. Perhaps they aren't ready for, and we're going to get to watch each and every game as they kind of break down what can we do, what can we be doing better, what caused us to lose, game 2 or game 3, and we also get to see how quickly they can turn it around.
Yeah, and not only to speak on the, the negatives at the beginning of the season, you drop a few games here and there, but we also get to see, like you mentioned at the beginning, Septilence, how these teams will build up their offense, how they build their arsenal, how they go at their opponent. That can be so fun to watch. We'll be taking it to Utopia Coliseum, though, for game number 1, where, again, these teams, first time on the broadcast all season long for NACE Starleague. So, nerves might be kicking them a little bit. You got the week 1 nerves out of the way, but now you are here on the main broadcast, first one of the year. It's just, we got to see how these teams play under that, because I've done it before myself as a competitor. There can be so much pressure knowing that you're being watched, and it's a matter of how these players are going to handle it here today.
I competed in collegiate for a while, not in Rocket League, but still in esports, and you're so right. There's such a difference in playing when there's people watching, when there's those fans in the audience, in the chat, so to speak, watching this time. Just knowing that you've got people rooting for you, you've got people supporting you. It really brings out this whole new kind of level of competition, this whole new competitive beast, if you will. And I don't know if this is anybody's first kind of collegiate debut today or not, but either way, I'm really excited to see kind of where these teams fall and who's ready to come out swinging.
Absolutely. Looking into game number 1, and again, these teams, we have seen them play a little bit before. We've gotten to see a couple of these players, but as they are ready to hop into the lobby now, we'll just have to see how they can go about it as we hop into our first game of the fall 2022 NACE Starleague season. Will be Central Michigan looking to take some offense early on. Quickly shut down, however. Back the other way, still trying for that offensive set. Shot coming out here, put away. Early stop needing to be made from Ozarks Technical Community College. Central Michigan looking to get right back to the offensive side, however.
It was crazy. Ozark, they had ball control immediately, and then it was just ripped away by Michigan. They have not gotten it back yet. SkimU has had this ball control the entire time. The full 30 seconds we've been running this since the very moment that first car touched the ball, and as that ball just barely dances its way into goal, Central Michigan does not let up on that pressure. They do not let up on that ball control, and they find that first point already on the board.
And it was bound to happen with those 30 seconds of straight offense from Central Michigan. It's Disher getting it in first. Ozarks Technical Community College need to find a way to turn things around, because that was not a good start to this game. A lot of defense needing to be played, and it looks like they're right back to it again. Cannot quite steal the 100 boost, but he has control of the ball. Give it away to a teammate. Now down in front as Ozarks trying to break their way out, might be able to just for a moment, but not for long, as Central Michigan right back in. They are not giving up this offensive pressure. They're going to look to keep piling it on. Shot put away to the side, but again, the control just being gained again and again by Central Michigan. Shot wide again. Another one coming through, put away. Now the play will slow down, but Central Michigan dominating the first minute.
Close, but no cigar there for OTC or Central Michigan. Like you said, the first minute definitely dominant in favor of Michigan up to this point, and that seems like the story's trying to rewrite itself, but does Ozark have the pieces in the right order? They've got the puzzle, they've got every piece laid out on the table, but for whatever reason, the pieces just are not fitting where they need them to. Bishop Jason goes up high. Is there a follow-through from Michigan? No, instead, it is bounced back away by Ozark. CMU, they are slamming into this wall over and over. They know eventually they are going to break through it and put that second point on the board.
It's looking like it might happen shortly. Ozarks has not had much offense at all, if anything. Right back again. Chippewas on these rotations, just too clean. There's a shot coming through, barely put away by Cornball. Up to the back wall, looking for the double. Can he get it home? No, it's read by the defense. Out into the corner again, now cleared out. Ozarks their best opportunity. Long shot, can't double it home. Can the rebound come through? Much too slow, put away. And Ozarks, that opportunity gone.
Oh my goodness, that was just not the opportunity. I mean, I guess that was the opportunity they wanted, but not one that worked out in their favor at the end of the day. Ozarks getting ready to enter the second half of game one, still not putting even a point on the board. But Powder, at the end of the day, that's the beauty of game one, is you can lose it and you can still learn from your opponent. Rocket League is a game where truly every single game is a GG go next. You come in quick, you do what you need to do. If you lose that game, shucks, let's go on to the next one. Let's try even harder here in game two. And I mean, Ozark, I'm talking about them like they're out. They truly aren't out yet. They're down, but they've got 2.5 minutes left to clutch this out and maybe even tie game one into an overtime.
And I'm glad you brought that up as well, because I was going to point out that they actually stifled the Central Michigan offense a lot. Now they get a shot of their own just wide. Need to find more accuracy, but still their defense has come through and made the stops necessary. Now it's just about finding it on offense. They've had a couple misses. Now they have another chance to go back the other way, but shut down quickly by Central Michigan, winning these challenges out into the midfield, back past the other way. And Central Michigan, again, still looking for that second goal. And Ozarks doing anything they can to shut it down. Doesn't happen, though, when Bishop Jason races in, bangs it home. 2-0 lead for the Chippewas.
I really think that was a clever play there. We saw him kind of go up quick, go up high, and I believe we've got, I was going to say, like a pseudo double tap. It seemed like they were actually going for the double tap there, but instead the ball bounces a little bit low enough. They're like, hey, that was okay, sick. That was a goal. No double tap needed. And now Central Michigan up 2-0. We've got 106 seconds left on the clock, and they're looking mighty fine. Almost a little worse for wear, but instead, it's going to be ball control still in favor of Central Michigan for a moment. Up and over Cornball, almost into goal, but off the corner. It's going to be close, but close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
And a close call there as well. Little eager on the challenge, but he can get back in time to make the stop. And Ozark still trying to get that first goal. They're really just trying to set up an offense. They've had a couple quick shots on counterattacks, but nothing sustained that's really threatened Central Michigan. Here's the threat from them up above the net, but taking out the field.
Come on.
Oh, a close call there again. And Cornball will get it out to at least midfield, but the clock is ticking now. Central Michigan still with control. 60 seconds left for Ozarks to try to get back.
Just one of those moments where you really think Ozarks is moments away, but it's just not going to break it. They're so close, but like I said, close, just not going to cut it. You've got to find that ball in goal, and Central Michigan showing them how time and time again, not once or twice, but 3 times now already on the board. And with only a minute left, we're looking at 1 goal per 20 seconds. It's doable, but it is difficult.
Absolutely, and Ozarks again might just want to find anything they can for some sort of pressure going into game 2, because they haven't had a lot of it. I mentioned it earlier, not a lot of offense, just these counterattack opportunities. Central Michigan has shut down every single one. And it's the Chippewas again looking for more offense. They just want to pile on here in game 1. Can't win out that challenge. Maybe a chance for Ozarks. They're too slow to it. Shot high, rebound coming in. Cornball a little eager again. Net is open, but the stop is made. And Cornball play it off to the side. Not much happening here for Ozarks again. Just kind of stuck on their own half. It's been the tail of game 1.
being stuck in your own half is kind of, I would say, one of the most common problems we see from teams, especially early on in a series like this, is they're still adjusting to their opponent's play style. You've got to learn, are we that proactive team? Are we that reactive team? Do we want to set the pace or do we want to play the pace? And as we're going in deeper and deeper here, it looks like Ozark wants to be setting the pace, but Michigan just seems to be doing it so much faster and a lot more consistently to where Ozarks haven't had the opening they need to really turn things around.
And I think that's been a large part of it, is that Central Michigan is playing so quick, and Ozarks just look like they're struggling a little bit to catch up. And it could be just game one nerves or game one trying to warm up. But something about it, just Central Michigan so much quicker, basically all around the field, just resulting in utter domination there in game one. But you know what? We play best of fives for a reason. Ozarks has plenty of time to bring it back. I think they just need to kind of slow things down, not get so eager. We saw Cornball a couple times go after a shot a little bit too early. So just try to calm things down a little bit and try to beat Central Michigan at their own game.
Absolutely. I think, and I often don't recommend this, but I think with Ozarks, we can see a really unique situation of, like you said, playing a little bit slower might not be damaging here. It actually might be very successful because we would see Ozarks try to capitalize on like 1% situations. So, hey, there's a 1% chance I can go score on this. Let's do it. But if they just slow it down a little bit more, they, instead of looking to score themselves early on, if they look to make sure that Central Michigan can't put as many down, they aren't walking away with 4 points on the board, then you've only got to score 1 or 2, right? Then you can win by, 2 points. You can win by 1 point, or you can force an overtime. But if you're playing too overzealous, too over-aggressive, and you're often leaving your own goal open, that's going to allow the other team to find a lot of goals for free. And I think that's a lot of what we saw from Central Michigan there.
And right on that replay as well, you can see, so a stop was made by Ozarks, but they put it right into the middle of the field. You got to try to find the corners on clears like that. Putting it right out in the open is, just like you said, Zeppelins, it's a free goal. Central Michigan is not going to give that up. And so Ozarks, a lot to clean up here in game 2. But again, we keep talking about them like they're completely out of this. They still have a good chance. Central Michigan played very quick. But I think, like we said, if Ozarks can slow things down, not panic as much, I think they've got a great shot to start to come back in this series.
Without a doubt. I have seen, and I'm sure you have as well, many a series that are 3-1, and that one is the first game. They lose it, they come back, and they just wipe the floor with their opponents. I have seen that probably dozens of times, and I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to see that somewhere here tonight, possibly from Ozarks Technical Community College. Whether or not Ozarks comes out in game 2, there's at least game 3 to clutch things out. But I've got faith. They are showing the fundamentals. They are showing the proper performances to find great successes here in a series like this one. They've already got a great ball control, but no boost. Unfortunately, Ty brings it high, has to drop it, and that's going to have pass ball control right over to Michigan once again.
And what do you know, not a bad start there for Ozarks, considering the first minute or so of game 1 was all Central Michigan offense. So good to see them get back the other way. Pass out a little bit too out of the reach of his teammate there. They do win the challenge out. Coming around onto his cornball, off into the corner. Weak touch there from Central Michigan, but he wins the challenge powerfully into the corner. Dangerous ball here as it's out into the midfield. Going up, it's a fake triple commit from Ozark. They gotta relax. Maybe they can still win the challenge, and they can. But still, they gotta watch those triple commits, or else Central Michigan is certainly gonna punish them eventually.
Central Michigan, they have seen, like you said, they've seen the targets. They've seen where they need to go. They've seen what they need to punish. And I think Ozarks needs to change the pacing, the play style just a little bit. I love the pass from Cornball to Ty. Back to Cornball, but unfortunately that disruption from Central Michigan is going to knock that ball right back into their back third. All that progress, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But on the bright side here, Powder, they're keeping it at 0-0. And that's not something we saw back in game 1. So those signs of life, those fundamental changes, the quality of life changes are happening here from Ozarks, and I think that could take them a really long way if they can keep it up.
It certainly can, and I can see them playing a little bit calmer. They're taking their time on a clear like that, getting it out to the side, and not just desperately pushing it forward. Now we see them with an offensive opportunity. Not much happening, but he can at least seal the boost. A kill down Central Michigan in an awkward spot, but one of them comes right through, makes the stop off the back wall now. Clear out into the middle. Little awkward for Bishop Jason to handle. Gives it off to a teammate, however, he takes it into the corner. Pinched down a little bit high, but it's a perfect pass to Bishop Jason, and the Chippewas are back on the board.
I mean, just a beautiful calculation there and a great transformation. We're seeing a complete change in play style. I don't think we've seen a corner pinch pass like that so far. That's the first time we've really seen Central Michigan bring out a play style like that, and obviously Ozarks wasn't ready for it. They put that 1 point on the board just shy of halftime, and now they know that 1 point is all they need to win.
We'll see how Ozarks can respond now. Opportunity here from Central Michigan again. Miscommunication along the back wall results in a slow clearance. Central Michigan again will win the challenge to pass off the corner. A shot top left corner, slotting it through, and 2-0 Central Michigan.
Oh, it's Baku with an exclamation point. Okay, see, now we know. Thank you for scoring, Baku. I have got that all figured out, and I am ready to keep talking about that great goal. And that almost, it's going to be so hard to explain, I hope it makes sense. That almost like fake of an aerial there. I truly expected them to go a lot higher with that and kind of smack down, look for a bounce off the ground perhaps, but instead it was just that short pass into the top left corner that secured that second goal, and now the third for Central Michigan. They have warmed up. They haven't even warmed up. They've gotten hot here. They're too hot. Can't touch them right now. They are completely unstoppable out there. We just now enter the second half, and Powder, in less than 20 in-game seconds, we have gone from 0-0 to 3-0.
It feels like Central Michigan is just, they're one of those momentum teams. You allow them to get space, you allow them to get a goal, they are not going to let you forget it. When you know they put in a fourth, what is that, 25 seconds in game, they get the same amount they scored in 5 minutes of the last game. What a performance here from Central Michigan, just domination once again.
Yeah, I mean, the monster has truly woken up in CMU, and they are really looking good. This is certainly not over yet. We've got 140 seconds left on the clock here. So Ozark, they're in a possibly winnable position. They just really need to step up their game. Like you said, they need to not allow CMU to find this momentum. Maybe a couple more demolitions, maybe an increase in physicality could go a long way. If you disrupt their passing, their combos, you're going to make it a lot harder to score. So maybe for now, focus on disrupting their flow before creating your own.
And also, Ozarks just seem to be struggling with possession. At this point, just kind of banging the ball away, getting it downfield rather than gaining a possession. And that time, they do win the challenge, but that one powerfully won by Central Michigan. Up to the air, back wall pass, cut off by the defense. Off into the corner again. The Ozarks, again, that desperation. This time it might work out, though. Can they find it? They finally will. They crack the scoreboard, and they're on it finally.
Perhaps a wee bit of overconfidence coming out from Central Michigan, or perhaps just a miscommunication as they did. Y'all can see it here, left of that goal, wide open. Foreign ball from center field there. Says, hey, you know, we'll take those, but every goal counts, and it's going to be a great opportunity for them to walk away with that first point. They've got 96 seconds left to try and cap at least 3 more points to tie things up.
You know what? That's plenty of time in Rocket League. I've seen it happen with less. So, you know what? We see Central Michigan as a momentum-based team, but maybe Ozarks is too. They got a goal on the board. Now they're looking for offense once again, but it is put right into the hands of Disher, and now he beats out the last defender. Central Michigan just too quick for Ozarks to handle, and they stretch it back to 4.
You know, things looked doable for a moment, and we're now down to 75 seconds. That's 1 goal per, I don't know, guys, I can't do that math. I don't know why I even started that sentence, but there is a possibility here for Ozarks to win this. It is just, honestly, a little bit unrealistic here in Game 2. They've shown signs of life, they've shown signs of improvement, and with their backs against the wall, headed into Game 3, that's really where they're going to have to pull a no-holds-barred situation to try and win things out.
And a powerful kickoff from Central Michigan. And what do you know, Disher again cheating up on the kickoff, too quick to it. Ozarks just not able to catch up. They got the goal on the board, and Central Michigan said, you know what, we've had enough of that. Putting it right back to them. Good kickoff win from Ozarks here, but quickly shut down by the Chippewas. They're back onto offense once again, and as we get towards the end of this game, and a fake out off the defender and in, Central Michigan will walk into Game 3 with a 2-0 lead. And now if you're Ozarks, how are you going to turn things around and try to, if anything, take at least a game here in Game 3?
You know, that's kind of what I've been thinking about here, Powder, as we've jumped into Game 2 being really close for a little while, and then all of a sudden CMU woke up. Things were looking a little bit rough, and we've seen some great attempts at adaptation from Ozarks. I think I'd like to lean back on something I said a little while ago. I think we need to see a pretty aggressive increase in physicality from Ozarks, because right now CMU, they're just doing a lot of passing plays, a lot of aerial gameplay, and it's because they're confident their teammate is going to be there to back them up. But instead, if Ozarks was there to demo one person, that could really flip the script. That could really make things a lot more doable for them moving into Game 3.
And that is something big that teams can always look for. It's just to try to break anything up, as Cornball now slamming it in. He gets the deficit down to at least 6 now. Good kickoff win. And you know what? Maybe some momentum heading into Game 3, if anything. But back to your point, I do think that demolitions could be huge because, like you said, Central Michigan's just kind of doing whatever they want to Ozarks, and how much they can do to stop it. So if Ozarks can try to break that up through some more aggressive play, more power to them. We'll see how they respond, though. They got a goal off the kickoff. Now the rest of the game to try to get anything back to try to head into Game 3 with.
Yeah, anything to get into Game 3 with. And Rocket League, like we talked about, each individual game is very unique to itself, right? It's not, oh, we lost Game 1, so we're guaranteed going to lose Game 2. I think a lot of that can come off what I always refer to as the lion's share of momentum. It's like OTC was the last team to score in Game 2. Let's see if we can carry that over into Game 3. And to be fair, 15 seconds left. They're not guaranteed to be the last team to score. We've definitely got some time on the clock, but I think what I'm focusing on here is OTC is showing us the possibilities, the millions of timelines. We just need to make sure we've ended up in the right one for them to find that victory here in Game 3, at least force a Game 4, and who knows, maybe take us all the way into that Game 5. We have now entered that 0-second rule time, but it falls short just of that goal, but that is still a game win for CMU regardless.
And you know what, that honestly, with calling it a game win for Central Michigan, that's better than saying this is a loss from Ozarks.
Absolutely.
Because Central Michigan is just simply going out and honestly doing whatever they want. They are a fantastic team. You can see the skill that this team has. And Ozarks, they're doing what they can. They're not really making that many mistakes. We see occasional double commit or a triple commit, but nothing that's really just giving this match over to Central Michigan. It's just Central Michigan, again, doing whatever they want. The passing plays, the double taps, we see it all. And they're just tearing Ozarks apart. And for Ozarks, again, going back to the point about physicality, if they can find that, I think they have a great shot at least getting Game 3. But it's just about how they start off in this Game 4, or this Game 3, excuse me. If they can get the first goal, I really like their chances to just continue that momentum.
Absolutely. And I'm not trying to say anything bad about Ozarks. I completely agree. I think they're doing a good job, but I'm really excited about this for a multitude of reasons, right? I think we are seeing an increase in talent in them each and every game. The two games we've seen so far felt millions of years apart to me. And I think with a 10% increase in just general communication coming out from Ozarks and a little bit more physicality, create that boost drought, find those demolitions, get in the way of this team. Don't let them just bounce around and do whatever they want. But if you take one of them out of the equation entirely, this team is going to have to adapt in ways that they possibly weren't expecting to.
Absolutely. And Central Michigan, we'll see how they play coming into Game 3 now. Like we've said, they've gotten a lot going for them, but let's see if they get a little bit lackadaisical going into Game 3. It was an even bigger win there in Game 2 than previously, so we'll see how they go into this one. Again, early offense for Ozarks. We'll see if they can take advantage, but here's as if Central Michigan right back to offense. Shot will be wide. It's Cornball coming around on it. A little chip off the wall, gaining control. Can he get the flick up? He gets it up over the back wall. Can somebody be there to shoot it? Cut off by Bishop Jason. It's down in front of Ozarks. Great start here, getting an opportunity, although Central Michigan will get one of their own.
40 seconds off the clock and counting. We see just for a moment there, OTC has that ball control where it's going to be snatched back by CMU for a moment. A lot of back and forth, very reminiscent of a traditional Game 1, and it's going to be Cornball, so completely different from Game 1 here. It's going to be OTC, Cornball in particular, with that first goal on the board.
Great start here from Ozarks. Like we said, maybe this one goal lead here early on will give them some more momentum heading into the rest of this game. It's all about how Central Michigan responds. We've seen some kickoff goals before. Do they have another here? Shot high, and it's barred down off the save from the defense. Still some offense, but put to the side by Cornball. Smart play there. And what a close call, but Ozarks, getting it done there. That shot is on a double commit. Will get the stop. It's over towards the side, and they'll get it out to at least midfield. Not much. They can't keep it out, though. Bishop Jason will tie it up.
Third tie is the charm. The third try, not tie. We do have a tie. That's not what I meant to say. Third try is the charm. And I've got to say, what a defense from OTC. They don't just block it out once. They did it a second time. And that's one of those situations where CMU had the opportunity to continue to pepper down onto the goal. They knew eventually they would slip through one of those cracks and find that goal, and that they did. Oh, a great momentum steal right there, but it's not going to be able to get the ball in goal. CMU has ball control. Baku bringing it off the left side toward that back left corner. Can OTC capitalize or even disrupt for a moment? Bishop Jason takes it up high. A great aerial control, but it drops down quick. And that is an open goal that they are going to get the opportunity to take advantage of. Blink and you miss it, folks. CMU back in the lead.
And, again, this is something that Central Michigan is not going to give up. A freebie there, no one home. You can see the defender on the turn saw it, but much too late. Central Michigan quickly gains the lead right back And off the kickoff, it's them once more stealing the boost as well. They win that challenge. It will be wide. Anybody there to follow? Out Disher coming up, save off the crossbar out in the midfield, not where they want it to be. The follow-up fakes 2 out. Can't get the follow down in front. Cornball up right to Ibaku, who slams it home. In Central Michigan, they're back.
Is that a team hat trick? Was that each player scoring one? I'm not sure, but either way, they are back. They are large and in charge. In CMU, they have found themselves up 3-1, 3:11 left on the clock, so a lot of 3s and 1s being tossed around right now. But OTC, they've got to put something on the board. They've got to find something, not tie things up, but to show those signs of momentum, those signs of a possibility of a draw, because OTC scored 2 last game, right? So we've seen them reach at least 2, at least that double threshold. But as of right now, they are just getting kind of bounced around by CMU, and a lot of that may be what I've been talking about, that boost control. I think if OTC dedicated a little bit more time to grabbing those orbs, grabbing those pennies around the field, they might be able to find a little bit more success if they took the wind out of CMU's sails.
I have to see if they can get back to it, but again, we're just seeing Central Michigan kind of just play around with them, get all these mechanical plays going, the air dribbles, and now a chance here. Ty can't get up to it, and Bishop Jason will make them pay. That lead continues to grow as we approach halftime.
That lead continues to grow, and it looks like it shows no signs of stopping. We haven't even touched halftime yet. You're right. It's 2:35 on the clock, 4-1. The previous score we saw was 8-2, I believe. Let's see if CMU can break their daily record here. They can put 9 on the board, really shake things up, or if OTC can use these final 2.5 minutes to come through and find a couple of goals, maybe tie things up.
Certainly, there's a chance there. Couldn't quite find the ball, but you know what? It almost might work for him. Cornball can't find it as a teammate behind him. No one is home, and Bishop Jason once more just kind of putting it to Ozarks. And you know it's going to be a tough ask to come back in this one. They still have plenty of time, but with the way that Central Michigan, again, has shown how they can build momentum, looks like Ozarks might be in for it.
They truly may be. This may be the beginning of the end for Ozarks here. They've got 2:19 on the clock to make some biz happen, but unfortunately it's going to be quite unlikely with the performance we've seen so far. They've put a total of 3 or 4, including this game's goals, on the board compared to, I don't even remember how many CMU has scored. I think 13, if I'm not mistaken, but that could be incorrect. A great performance coming out from CMU. And Tyler, I talked a lot about, before we even jumped into this series, how week 2 can be a lot about sending a message and a lot about kind of creating a narrative for your team, making your team the one we should be looking out for. And I think CMU has done a very good job with that. They have shown great adaptability. They have shown great progress and improvement through these games, and they have shown no signs of slowing down through any of the 3 games we've seen so far.
Certainly not, and especially when you consider that this is the first broadcast of the season as we see OTC maybe giving themselves a chance as they get a goal here late in the game. But for Central Michigan to walk into the first broadcasted match of the season and just put on a performance like this, that's going to turn people's heads, and Central Michigan might be making a case for them to make a run in playoffs. We'll have to see how the rest of their season goes, but still a great performance here. But you know what? Not over yet. Ozarks with that goal with just over 90 seconds left. They find a few more. They certainly might be in it.
We've got 90 seconds left on the clock, 1 goal per 30 seconds. I mean, that's definitely doable, right? If they can get that ball control, if they can find those open goals that they have found quite a few times across this series, but as some great air dribble and aerial gameplay comes in through from Bishop Jason, it's going to be a little more difficult. Even if CMU doesn't score here, which they're going to, they made it that much harder for OTC to score. CMU is in one of those positions where it's like, it's not super important that you put points on the board right now. It's just important you make sure your opponent doesn't.
Yeah, pretty much. They're keeping it out of the half, and, Ozarks, they haven't had many opportunities all game long. It feels like Central Michigan kind of is playing like that now, where they just know they can just play it safe. They don't necessarily have to go all out, but, they still are with the offense again off the post. But the way that Central Michigan has been playing, they almost might slot one through there. Another triple commit. Wow. You know what? They're going to make you pay for it. They're not going to let that one go as they keep stretching this lead.
Yeah, that is 1 goal every less than 15 seconds right now for OTC. That lead getting larger and larger, and it's going to be our 3rd and final game of this series. Coming up next will be Shawnee State University and Full Sail University, 2 teams that I am a little bit more familiar with, so I am really excited to jump into that one. But I am just as excited to be here to learn these 2 new teams that I have not had the opportunity to see before. And I've got to say, CMU, they have succeeded in immediately putting themselves on my radar.
Oh, they certainly have. I'm going to be excited to kind of track this team over the course of the season, see how it goes, if they can clinch one of those top 3 spots to get at least the last chance qualifiers. with this performance tonight. Certainly looks like they'll be in the running within their division. For Ozarks, you know, just kind of back to the drawing board. They didn't necessarily have a poor performance tonight. They just went up against an absolute powerhouse in Central Michigan. You just kind of got to go back to things, hop into scrims, work on the mistakes that we've seen, like just the occasional triple commit. That's really the only massive mistake we saw from them. Other than that, it's just Central Michigan just being a fantastic team, getting passing plays all the time to one another as they get another one here late.
I think OTC could find a lot of great value in dedicating one of their players to just staying in the back third, staying in the back half for a majority of the game. I wholeheartedly agree. You know, even a little bit of a triple commit, even 2 seconds of a triple commit, that still is 2 seconds your goal is left wide open. And those 2 seconds could be all the team needs to capitalize off the back of that what feels like in the moment a minuscule mistake, but that little bit can go a long way. The true definition of, you know, give an inch, take a mile.
Absolutely is, you know, Central Michigan just finding
Double
another
digits
there and kind of just showing up what they can do at this point. Just a slaughterhouse here in game 3, stretching it as much as they can. Be excited to talk with one of these players when we get through this match, but you know, that's assuming they stop scoring. We got 18 seconds left, just waiting on them to kind of allow Ozarks to just fall over, but maybe in the last 10 seconds they can walk away with a goal. They do have the chance here, but still, what a performance here from Central Michigan. A 3-0 sweep will start off our season. And again, I'm very excited to see Central Michigan and their run this season with this performance today.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I mean, we have seen a strong performance and an aggressive one at that. They touched double digits in the third and final game of the series. And I truly am excited to talk to one of them as well because as I mentioned, haven't seen this team before. This is my first chance to really get to see them and what they bring to the table. So I want to know, how far do they think they're able to take it? How far did they take it last time they were able to compete? This is something that is going to show, you know, is this a seasoned team? Is this a new team? Or what are they getting ready to bring to the table?
Certainly, we'll be excited to talk with them in a moment, but going back to Ozarks again, since we won't get to talk to them, it was still a good performance from them. We didn't see many mechanical mistakes. It was just playing a better team, and you know what? Sometimes that's going to happen. You're going to go against a team who's just outright better skill-wise than you, and this is what we ran into tonight. That we still had fantastic moments from them, including just a couple breakaway goals and finding opportunities of their own, but I mean, the main story today is just Central Michigan and their ability to just win almost every challenge. I don't think I saw many losses on challenges for them, and that just resulted in possession after possession and, you know, shot after shot and goal after goal.
Absolutely. And with Ozark in particular, like I mentioned earlier, I think leaving that one player in the back third can go a really, really long way. It's keeping somebody in the back. They can play kind of a pseudo shot color. They have a great view of whatever's happening in front, and then they can play that hard defense when they have to. But those little triple commits, they build up and they build up quick, and they can open a lot of opportunities for a team to sneak in at any aspect of the goal. Any
Certainly.
angle. I meant to say the word angle, not aspect. I don't know why that came out the way it did.
But, you know, if I'm talking to Ozarks, you know, we won't get to talk with one of their players today. Right. But, like, if we had to go through them, you know what? Again, just go back to the drawing board. You just got to hop in a few more scrims. It just seems like there's some communication issues, which, you know what? If it's a new roster, you kind of expect that to happen at the beginning of the season. So just hop into scrims, focus on that. That's what you always say, is you're not in scrims to win. You're in them to get better. So just focus on nonstop communication. And I think, honestly, that is the biggest thing they need to work on. If they can do that, this is going to be a great roster. It's just kind of sorting everything out and learning where each player is comfortable.
Without a doubt. And of course, I am, you know, taking the reach that their communication wasn't good. We obviously can't hear them. We're taking the reach that there is room for improvement there, but there always is at the end of the day. And Rocket League, I would say personally, more than a lot of other esports, requires exclusively on communication. If you've got 3 people out there playing on a team, they're never going to be as successful as 3 people out there playing as a team. You know what I mean? It's that communication that really comes down to separate the goods from the greats. And if Ozark can, like you said, step back, go into scrims, watch those VODs, and really get a strong handle of what should we be saying in these moments? What is most important to bring to the table for my team right now? That can really help that team improve. I mean, just leagues ahead of where they are.
It really can. And, you know, looking at Central Michigan, you know, you can tell that their communication's pretty well on point. We saw plenty of passing plays and just plays where a teammate rotating back, you know, cuts right back upfield and keeps the possession going. You can again, we don't know exactly how these teams are communicating, but you can tell that these players at the very least are comfortable with one another, which is why if we end up finding out, I'll be surprised to find out if this is a brand new roster, just with the way that you can tell these players have been playing together for a very long time. And, you know, it clearly showed today.
Yeah, without a doubt. It showed quite impressively, and I believe we're getting danger close to interviewing one of those players from Central Michigan University, so I'm really eager to jump into that, to kind of hear from them. And I don't know, it's not often that I work with a new collegiate Rocket League team that I haven't seen before, so I'm very excited to really talk to one of them, hear kind of what their regiment is, kind of what they think brought them so much success here today, and how far that success can really take them.
Certainly, we'll have several questions waiting up for them, but again, you know, it just going back to the performance here from Central Michigan, we mentioned how this is going to be a long season, and with the way that the seeding works out, Central Michigan, you know, I feel like they've got to be one of those teams that's at the top of their division, but they might not necessarily be like at the very, very top. So it'll be interesting because remember, you do have to be seeds 1, 2, or 3 to make it at least to a play-in to get into the last chance qualifier. But you know, Central Michigan, I'll be interested to see how that goes for the rest of the season because we've got some very good teams within NACE Starleague, and I want to see how they go up against a team like that.
Without a doubt, I believe our interviewee is going to be joining us in just a moment here. From what I've heard is an audio exclusive interview, so they might be with us. I'm not totally sure.
Yeah, hello.
Right. So who are we chatting with?
My name is Drake. I'm a new player on the team.
Fantastic. What was your gamer tag in game?
DSCHR. It's a short
got it.
abbreviation for my name.
Fantastic. So you mentioned that you're a new player to the team. Are you the only new player, or all three of you new? Kind of what has changed for this team?
The other two were already playing last year, and they needed a third because the third happened to go to graduate school, so he stopped playing. They needed a new fit, so I tried out and I got in.
Awesome. Well, you know, you guys had a fantastic performance, and you know, going into game 2, we kind of we were wondering if Ozarks was going to have a response to you guys, and you know, it was a little bit of a not a slower start from you guys, but it took a little bit longer to get a goal on the board. And you know, do you guys feel that you are a momentum-based team? Because once you got that goal on, maybe like 2 minutes into the game, it was just over from there. So kind of like take us through like how does that team, or how does your team play? Are you that kind of momentum-based team?
I could see it as long as we don't get full of ourselves. So once we got a decisive win in the first game, we remained calm, or told each other to remain calm because anything could change, and remain open-minded just in case if they try to adapt to how we were playing. So it was more like strategic and staying calm and open-minded that anything could change, but not being so confident that you could start thinking they're not good and then they can't score, and when they do score, you fall apart.
Yeah, and it certainly looked like you guys kind of had them handled there. And, you know, I'm surprised to hear that we have a new addition to the roster as well, because I mentioned with Septilence, I'm not sure if you heard on the broadcast, but you guys look so comfortable as a team.
Yes.
How have you guys prepared for this season? Because I'm not going to lie, I expected you guys to have been a team for maybe at least a couple semesters, so I'm shocked to hear that you guys are new this semester.
Yeah, last week I think we lost 3 series. That's how we started. We kind of went through some replays. I think we also slept on our mistakes, and being just a new team in general, the chemistry is going to be iffy in the beginning, so as time passes, we'll just know each other and our behaviors and plays easier and we'll know it better. So I think we'll be more fit as each game or each series goes by. So I definitely think we're going to be a threat, 100%. There's no doubt.
I think I have to agree with that. I think I have to agree. Y'all really came out and gave a very impressive performance here in week 2. But first week, to really show everybody what you could bring to the table, do you very quickly want to give anybody a shout out or a thank you before we let you go?
Yeah, my mom and Jason, the captain, and Ethan, the other player. I think we respect each other and we're willing to change and learn.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us, and a great job tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And with that, folks, I think we are going to be jumping into Series 2, Game 2. I always never know which one to call it, but it's Shawnee State University versus Full Sail University. And Powder, I'm excited about this one, but like for a very specific reason. I met a Full Sail University Rocket League team, but I'm not sure it was this one. So this might be a completely unrelated Full Sail team, but I know the one I did meet was very impressive and very strong, and I met them back in August, so I'm really excited to see if this is that same team. And if it's not, I'm excited to see what this team can bring to the table.
Certainly, you know, I've gotten to see, I think I've gotten to see both of these at least schools play each other, but I've never gotten to see these rosters. So, you know what, this is what we get to see in NACE Starleague, is we get this wide range of teams that appear. We get some of the top dogs, but we also get some of these teams that we're unsure of, and we get to learn, you know, like Central Michigan. We had seen that roster before previously last year, but we hadn't got to see this, and you know what, we might have a threat here in NACE Starleague. So, you know, teams like Shawnee State and Full Sail coming in, excited to see how these rosters play.
Yeah, without a doubt. And Shawnee State is a name that sounds familiar, but I think not for Rocket League. I think for another esport that I've worked with. So that's not the team that I'm going to be seeing. But as we jump into this, you know, it's week 2. It's weird because we don't know these teams. We haven't seen them. You know, there was no last week for us to see them. There was nothing recently we can talk about what they bring to the table or what they can bring to the table. But either way, you know, this is that time to set that precedent, to show, you know, we are ready to come out swinging. We are ready to take somebody down early. It's going to be SSU with Fire Raptor, I don't know how to say that, Zeot and Lil Stewart versus Skittles, Elusive, and Ricky G. And as I read those names from Full Sail, I am rather confident I have met at least 2 of those players. So now I'm even more excited to see what they do here.
Yeah, you know, a couple players we've at least heard of over on Full Sail University. So, you know what? Maybe give them the favor a little bit, but we're not going to count Shawnee State out at all just yet.
Oh, not the
so,
slightest.
Again, excited to see how this one will go, because you know what, we had a little bit of a surprise with match number 1 with how Central Michigan played. So, you know, got to learn all these players here as we hop into the beginning of this season.
It's a weird spot, because usually it's some kind of, somebody comes out really aggressively, one of the teams comes out and is able to dominate, but with both these teams, there's no real expectation yet. And personally, as casters, we don't even know their seasons as of last week. We don't know if they won their game or if they lost their game. So in essence, they're really coming in at a 0-0, at least for us, at least for chat. And this is where you get to show, what are we worth? How far can we take this? And if we can't take it all the way this week, what can we do by next week? Can we jump into those mod reviews? Can we jump into those new progressions, and bring a brand new team out next week and every week after that?
Certainly, and you could hear the player from Central Michigan we just talked to. You know what, they lost their first 3 series last week, and they turned it around and they just put it on Ozark. So you can have that turnaround when you get into the lab and you get those scrims in. So no matter how these teams start their seasons, they can certainly turn things around at any moment. This could be the night tonight for either one of these teams, as hopping into week 2. Again, still early on. It's not your season, or your season's not over at all, even if you lost coming into this week. But you know what? This is the week where you want to start trying to improve, because as you head into the season later, you know what? You might be facing those higher seeded teams. And as we said earlier, you just want to get those wins whenever you can.
Without a doubt. And it's so funny to me in Rocket League how, like, there's so many maps in the game, and we can talk about them because some of them are aesthetically more pleasing than others, but at the end of the day, all the ones we're going to be playing are identical, right? Because there can be no competitive advantage or competitive edge to any map in this game in a competitive situation such as this one. Did not mean to say competitive so many times, but so be it. Either way, I mean, this is going to be that moment of a game 1's game 1, right? You don't have to win it. You don't want to lose it. This is the time to read your opponents, to find out what they are bringing to the table and see something I mentioned back in Series 1. Are we that proactive team, or are we that reactive team? Do we get to set the pace? Do we get to set ball control and score whenever we want to? Or do we need to be that hard defense? Do we need to be that immovable wall to make sure that our opponents don't score and that we strike those opportunities when they arise?
We saw Central Michigan being one of those proactive teams, kind of going after the ball, going after the play. We'll have to see how these 2 teams go into it today. I like to think that this one's going to be a closer matchup, but we'll have to see. These players are almost ready to get it going. Their second week hopping into it here. They're already underway. Is now on the orange side of the half, trying to get out back the other way. Full Sail do break out for a second, not for long though. Is Elusive over towards the side, gives it off to a teammate, beaten out though into the midfield. Can he get it around? He cannot. It's just a little bit off. Full Sail, little bit of a struggle early on to break out, and they missed the ball there. Maybe still a chance. Nobody from Shawnee cleaning it up. They are back on offense.
I'm going to be bringing it up a little bit late, but that opening play from Shawnee, they were so incredibly close to finding a goal within the first 10 or 15 seconds, and the theme of today definitely seems to be that little bit really does go a long way, and so far it's 45 seconds off the clock. That little bit has prevented them from finding that first goal and keeps us locked at that 0-0 scoreline.
Certainly, as we continue to see Full Sail attempt to break out, losing that challenge there. Fire Raptor up towards it. Can he win the challenge? It's a slow roller, but put away by Full Sail. This is now down in front, out into the midfield. Fire Raptor dishes it back. They'll play it a little bit slow. Zio can't find it, though. Forced a back pass into his corner. Can't get the 100 boost right away either. A little bit of a struggle from Shawnee early on the defensive half, and it might result in some Full Sail offense. It does, but Fire Raptor, what a fake there. They get it around the last man. No, it's taken right off of his head. Back the other way for Full Sail. Try to get another goal.
90 seconds already off the clock, 3.5 minutes remaining. Ball control very back and forth, very volleyball-esque, as I always like to say. It's just nobody really keeping a consistency here, but instead it's, you know, oh, we try to score, so on and so forth. But right now I'm looking to see if somebody can sneak in just that one goal, because with what we're seeing already here in Game 1, I don't think this is going to be as dominant a series as we saw back in Series 1 today. I think this is going to be a much more back and forth kind of punch-for-punch, toe-to-toe situation, and I think 1 point is often going to be how a team wins this. I don't think we're going to be seeing 8-2s. I think we're going to be seeing, you know, 3-2s or 1-0s.
I gotta agree with you with the way that these teams have started off. They look very even-keeled. Neither team really getting that much pressure yet. Well, maybe an opportunity to be found here. No, gets it back the other way. Elusive winning out a couple challenges there. Just nothing left in the tank to go further. Can at least win that challenge to allow a teammate to come up, but it's Fire Raptor winning it himself. Breaks it out, takes one off the field, jumps forward to try to get the pass in. Can he finish it himself? Goodness. He can! What a solo play from Fire Raptor.
Fire Raptor really said, I'll do it myself, and just walked in, took it all the way down the field. The demolition, the setup, and the execution. Truly, judge, jury, and executioner on that one. Johnny finding themselves up 1-0. We've just now entered the second half of Game 1.
How, let's see if Shawnee builds off that momentum, or if Full Sail, you know, maybe gets a little bit angry after that. They got solo played by Fire Raptor. Oh, they win that challenge out, and Full Sail will tie things right back up.
I mean, come on. We go 3 minutes nearly with nothing on the board, and then somebody finds something. Fire Raptors puts a point on the board, and all of a sudden, Full Sail's like, hey, we can do that too. Check this out. We are tied back up at that 1-1 scoreline, as I always love to call it, just a complicated 0-0. There are no ties in Rocket League. It will go until somebody puts that winning point down, and as we are resetting at that 1-1, who's able to find that next slot? Because both those goals were definitely opportunistic. Will those opportunities arise again soon, or are we going to go through a bit of a goal drought here?
Well, it's starting to look like we might go through that drought. We had 2 quick goals back and forth with one another, and things have slowed down a little bit. Zio, though, with an opportunity, maybe the Doomsy put away by the defense. Fire Raptor in again with a challenge. Can he do it once more? He cannot. Cut off and sent back the other way in favor of Full Sail. 100 boost up to the air. Zio, can he match him? He does. Powerful clear out. Full Sail right back up again, though, pushing it onto the offensive side from Fire Raptor is perfect all the way down the field. In these teams, you can feel them starting to get more and more warmed up. The play is coming out, especially from Fire Raptor. He gets his second.
I like that one from Fire Raptor a lot. That was a bit of a sleeper goal. It wasn't directly towards, I think there was a bit of a bounce off the ground, actually, if I'm not mistaken, right up and in front of a defender, found the pocket there in the corner and really capitalized off the back of that. I don't want to call that an open goal, but I like the momentum redirect, so to speak, we saw from Fire Raptor. It wasn't a drive-in, demolition, anything. It was just finding that open pocket and capitalizing. Not even sure that's an open pocket. I think that's just an open goal.
That's just a perfect kickoff play here from Shawnee. Out into the corners, the defense, and the flick away from him. You got a shadow there. Instead, he goes straight for the ball, and it costs him dearly as Shawnee will stretch it out to 2. Still plenty of time left for Full Sail, but got to turn things around quickly. It feels like Shawnee are building momentum, especially off the kickoff. Fire Raptor does turn back, allows Elusive to gain possession, but nobody to follow. Instead, it's just Zio taking over. He goes to the air once again. He's got the flip reset. Does he have it again? The dribble and control cut off by Daxta. And now Shawnee again, still with the offense. Full Sail cannot break out just yet. Maybe an opportunity here. Get it up right into the hands of Fire Raptor. Stop is made, but less than 60 seconds left, and they got to get 2.
Less than 60 seconds left. They've got to get 2 to tie, 3 to win, and now as we are down already from 60 to 50, things looking more and more bleak. For Full Sail, excuse me. But on the bright side, losing game 1, you've got at least games 2 and 3 to turn things around. Shawnee, a little bit momentum-based, similar to what we saw back in game 1 or series 1. They found that first goal. They started, you know, things get a little shaky, and all of a sudden, they're like, hey, we are not looking to lose this. We are going to try to walk away with this win as quickly as possible. Oh my goodness, off the crossbar, close but no cigar. as well and keep our scoreline at that. Rockin' 3-1 with 25 seconds left on the clock.
If you're Full Sail, you can want to take advantage of that right here, right now. But the double commit, the shot cut off from Ejara. They still have a chance, though, but could have had it there, especially after the miss from Fire Raptor. He had an open net, but 10 seconds left, and it's cleared back out. It looks like Shawnee will take game one. A close one, though. They might take one for the road. Just off. Fire Raptor for the hat trick. It's just off. Doesn't matter either way. Shawnee State walks away with game number one, but what a close one. Like you said at the beginning, Septilence, I think we got a very close matchup, especially compared to the last one. These teams going right at it already in game one.
Absolutely, just a back and forth brawl. Shawnee, they find the way under the bar. They find that 3-1 victory, and this is going to be exciting. I think it's going to be a lot closer than our last series. We saw, what did we see? 8-2, 10-1, 10-2. So I mean, it was pretty dominant in favor of one team, but these do not strike me as the teams to bring out kind of that same scoreline. With Full Sail, the backs are slightly against the wall. They lose game one, not in a dominating fashion, but a loss is a loss regardless, and they're going to have to change a couple of things to walk away with those victories.
And it just felt like Shawnee State just controlled it more. And you see here, especially off the kickoff, to gain control like that and get the last defender on a flick. Yeah, he was a little bit eager, but you know, it wasn't a bad challenge by any means. He had the flick to be able to get it by him. This is something that Full Sail has to be careful of. It's been clear that Shawnee State has the mechanics. We saw Zio go for a flip reset earlier. He got the flip reset, but not the goal. So clearly Shawnee State has the mechanics. You have to respect that. But you know what? Full Sail, they've got an arsenal of their own. They got one goal in. And again, this wasn't a blowout by any means, but something to keep an eye out on if you're Full Sail.
Full Sail had a lot of the right pieces in the wrong order, and I think if we see a little bit of a change there, and to be fair, that one goal from, I'm immediately blanking on the player's name, Fire Raptor, I believe. The one goal from that was sneaky, and I commented on it as soon as it happened, so that was just kind of a pure chance moment. He saw an opportunity, took it, found the goal off the back. Full Sail didn't necessarily do anything wrong in that moment. It was just the Rocket League gods in favor of one over the other. A lot of close goals from Full Sail as well. I can recall at least 2 goals that bounced off the crossbar and unfortunately didn't find their way in. So, you know, a 5 to 10% adjustment on either shooting up or down, left or right. Just those very minuscule changes, micro changes that, like I said back in Series 1, sound like a broken record here, but those small changes, those small mistakes can go seemingly infinite in either way if you let them.
Yeah, and you know what? We'll keep repeating it too because it's just these small little mistakes as well. You know, if you're Shawnee State and all of a sudden Full Sail starts coming right back at you, you're gonna want those changes to go into effect quickly because yeah, a couple shots right off the crossbar when they were freebies. You know, didn't cost them here in game number 1, but in future games it really could. So they want to try to find that accuracy. And for Full Sail University, you know, maybe that's something to be taken advantage of. They had an opportunity, but a double commit cost them. And you know what? Maybe might not happen in future games.
I'm trying to think if there was any, I'm trying to think if there are any macro mistakes, any big errors being made from Full Sail. I truly can't think of anything. It was just those tiny mistakes, those tiny errors. And I think to kind of circle us back to the beginning of the conversation, that's why it's as close as it is, because it's not a triple commit. It's not leaving your goal wide open for 10 seconds. It's you go for the ball and you miss by 2 inches, and that was enough. That made the difference. You miss the ball, they score. And it's just those tiny errors. And like I said, some of it was just chance. You know, Full Sail was half a second late, and a couple of milliseconds can make all the difference.
It certainly can. You know, Full Sail, it's something that, again, they're going to have to keep an eye on it, as well as, you know, the changes we mentioned from Shawnee State. Maybe a comeback could happen from Full Sail if they keep missing shots, but for Full Sail, if you can't make those slight little micro adjustments to shut down the opportunities from Shawnee State, they might be in for the same things in games 2 and 3.
Absolutely. Oh, sorry. I'm getting teary-eyed apparently about this. I'm very passionate about Rocket League, clearly. I'm at a loss for words, but I'm eager to jump into game 2 because there could be that kind of massive turnaround. Back in Series 1, I talked a lot about how the story of Game 1 doesn't write the story of Game 2. We could see Full Sail come in and clean sweep. This could be a 10-0. This could be, you know, a 5-1 or something. But at the same time, Shawnee has already shown some pretty aggressive signs of adaptation. And those, to me, are often the scariest teams that we see. When we see somebody come through and all of a sudden this team is, you know, oh, they're getting scored on, and then they never get scored on like that again. Those are the teams I think are important to look out for. It's the teams that don't allow consistent error that are the teams that are going to make it the furthest. And Shawnee has already shown to be one of those teams. We saw one opportunity from Full Sail at the beginning of game 1 where they almost scored, and then I don't think we ever saw kind of a mimic of that again.
No, and especially after the Full Sail got the goal to tie it up as well. Shawnee turned it right back around. It was a little bit of a period of time before they got the goal in, but you know what? It just felt like they had control because, you know what? Like you said, the adaptability, if they can just keep the possession, keep control of the ball, they have a very good shot at winning, and that's absolutely what they did. They just refused to allow Full Sail really any opportunities, and it just really resulted in Full Sail struggling to, you know, gain control for themselves and try to get any shots. Again, they had the one opportunity late in the game, but it was taken away from a double commit, so changes like that need to be made. But for Shawnee, if they keep the control, if they keep adapting, I think they're well set for this series.
We're waiting for one of the teams to ready up now. I believe there was a small technical error, but as is the way of live production, right? Would not be a live broadcast without somebody having a tech issue here or there. I know I have had my fair share on my end alone, so I'm sure whatever they're getting figured out will be fixed in just a couple of moments. And, you know, this could be a good moment to talk about what else we've got going on this week. You know, Rocket League is just one of many things coming up in the future. I know there's Smash Ultimate in there somewhere. There's Call of Duty in there somewhere. Overwatch 2 eventually, but that's not, you know, that's obviously not going to be happening for a little while. We've got CSGO coming up on Fridays. So here, let's just run it back. We've got the schedule on screen. Monday, Rocket League. Wednesday, Call of Duty. Thursday, Smash Ultimate. And Friday, CSGO. So we've got a lot going on all week long. And eventually, like I said, Overwatch 2 is added in there somewhere. I think that's still getting figured out as the game hasn't been released yet. But we're really excited to see everything that's going to be coming together at NACE.
Absolutely, you know, full week of action every single week up until the in-person grand final. So exciting. So be sure to tune in every single night to check out all the games, especially once Overwatch 2 picks up. You get to your first look at it here in a few weeks. But again, going back to this series with Shawnee State and in the control that they had. And, you know, Semblance, if you're Full Sail University and you're seeing Shawnee State with the kind of mechanics that they have, you know, they didn't get to show off much of them and result in goals with them, but They certainly showed them that they had them. What are you doing if you're Full Sail and you can see that this team clearly has the mechanical ability like that?
I think, and this is, I think people are going to find out, this is often my solution for situations like this. Physicality goes a really long way in this game, and it's something that I truly believe separates the good teams from the great teams. If your team is getting in and they're finding those demolitions, they're finding those bumps, and they're disrupting the entire strategy of the opponents, that's when the game can really get a lot easier for your team to find goals and to find capitalizations. If you force them into a situation where it almost feels like a permanent 3v2, that forces out a whole new brand of adaptability that a lot of teams haven't had to experience before. I think physicality is something a lot of teams, I don't want to say undermine, but don't utilize as effectively as they could be. In Full Sail already, even without the physicality, they've gone for 2 shots on goal. Unfortunately, neither of them breaking through that SSU defense.
It was a tough one. They looked for the pass, and you know what? It wasn't exactly a bad one. It was maybe a bit slow, but it was a little bit tough because you don't know if you're going to expect a defender to race in at any moment if you just straight take the shot. Shawnee, though, can they slide it through with Zio off the crossbar and in, and you know what? Shawnee back the other way with the lead.
I mean, Zio, just an incredible performance. There's some great aerial gameplay and great ball control. I say ball control, all he did was hit it with the one time, but he hit it at the appropriate angle to go right into goal. It wasn't off the backboard, it wasn't off to either side, it went right in, and that's what Shawnee needed to set that precedent once again. They're coming in here in game 2. They're putting that second point on the, that first point in game 2 on the board with just a minute off the clock. So this is one of those moments, Powder, where you can't be particularly comfortable because 1 point is a lead, but hardly. If Full Sail scores, we are tied back up 1-1. And like I said earlier, that's essentially a 0-0. 2 points, probably 3 is where a team can really start to feel a little more comfortable. You can't feel truly comfortable until that timer's at 0-0.
Oh, well, they get their 2-0 lead right here, and it's off of just what seems to be a defensive mistake. I'm not sure where the third man rotating in. He's off in the corner, can't catch up, and it's just, you know what? It's great placement from Shawnee State. Right side of the net, they don't see a defender, go right for it. Less than 90 seconds in, they have that 2-0 lead, but if I'm Shawnee, honestly, I'm not getting comfortable just yet. Full Sail has shown the ability to come back and get a goal. If I'm Shawnee State, I'm going to look to keep piling it on until Full Sail just looks uncomfortable with the style of play.
You know, it was a co-caster I had one time that brought up the great point of a 2-0 in Rocket League is probably the best example of false, like, comfortability.
Absolutely.
Letting your senses down because you're like, oh, we're up 2-0, we're totally fine. But then all of a sudden your opponent scores, you're like, oh, we only have a 1 point advantage. Like all of a sudden that sense of comfort, that sense of kind of leadership and defense is gone in the blink of an eye. So it's that 2-0. It's really a false sense of security. That's what I've been trying to say that whole time. It was a false sense of security, and if Full Sail puts even 1 point on the board, Shawnee doesn't quite have... Okay. Scratch literally everything I just said over the last 20 seconds. Instead, Shawnee is putting their 3rd point on the board, and honestly, just great team coordination here. We see Zio go up quick. Fire Raptor comes in even quicker and finds it into that top left corner.
And it's such a perfectly read 50 as well, because he can
Truly.
see the defender going up, and he's just looking to meet him, and he angles his car to knock in the goal. A shot off the kickoff, easily put away by Shawnee State. Fire Raptor towards the other side. Maybe something to be found here for Full Sail, because, you know, it's starting to look like this series is going more into the hands of Shawnee State. They need to get something quickly, otherwise Shawnee looking like they're going to continue to pile on.
Oh, it just hit me. We haven't even entered the second half. We've just now entered the second half to give it to 3-0 scoreline. I really did think we were a little bit further in, but instead we are just hanging out at that second half entry now. And there's something that I jokingly talk about. It's called the second half buff, right? Where a team, like, if you were holding something for some reason, let it go. Like, no longer pull your punches, no longer sit back. And Full Sail, I think we really need to see a bit more punching in the Rocket League sense, not the literal sense. But I think we need to see them kind of come through with a lot of demolitions, a lot of aggression, and a lot of just general physicality. You don't have to go for demos, but if you're just in the way of your opponents, like, that can be a really effective method to ensure that they aren't scoring as consistent.
Shawnee's ability on defense. Oh no, and it's an overcommit. Is it wide? It is not. It is on from Fire Raptor. And you know what? It was a close call here from Full Sail. They almost got the goal. They had a great offensive set and just a slight little push-up too early. It's a 4-0 lead now for Shawnee State.
4-0 lead with 108 seconds left on the clock. That is doable. We're looking at 1 goal per roughly 25 seconds here if Full Sail wanted to tie things up. And you can tie things up, force it into a golden goal situation, and then score it overtime. You can give us the comeback of the day so far. It would be an incredible story, but as Full Sail finds themselves consistently low on boost and consistently not in front of their own goal, it's just been Shawnee waiting for those opportunities to strike and then capitalizing off the back of them. A great defensive block comes in, but the secondary powder just was not there.
It's fortunately not. You know, they get these initial saves, but then the rebound, they just aren't able to make the stop, and this is honestly just, again, perfect placement from Quiet Killer. You can see we had the camera right on him in the replay from Ajara. He makes the turn in net, and it's not a bad turn.
Right.
It goes right into the middle, but it's just great, or a great snipe from the offense. Goes right in, 5-0 lead for Shawnee State, but it just feels like Full Sail is just so close to finding their way in this series. It doesn't feel like they're doing anything wrong. It's just kind of similar to the first match we had where Shawnee State is just coming out and just playing better overall to this point.
And I've got to say, Shawnee State doing a really good job of not shooting on goal with a low confidence they're actually going to find the shot. It feels like often when they set up the shot, they find it. They're not going for these Hail Marys. They're not going for, oh, we're in their third, that means we have to score right now. They're really taking the time to calculate and set up these plays, and then it finds great success. I mean, a 5-0 level of success.
Certainly, maybe they can get one back here. It's a pass out in the midfield. Pre-flip can at least push it forward more. Beaten out by Zio, though. Fire Raptor looking to make it 6.
Oh.
Cannot quite do it. 30 seconds left, and Full Sail back to the drawing board again. They are going to need to find a way back into this series, and it feels like they are close to being able to do it. But Shawnee State has adapted on defense and shut down every single opportunity. They continue to pile the shots on. And they know another one comes out here a little bit wide, and he'll just peel off. Domination again from Shawnee State. It'll be a long road back from Full Sail, but it feels like they're close to being able to do it.
Feels like they are close to doing it indeed. 5-0 on the board for Shawnee. The second game win in a row in Full Sail. Their backs are against the wall, unlike any other that we have seen so far tonight. They're down 2-0. I have to agree, Powder, it's such a weird situation because you look at a 5-0 scoreline and you're like, holy cow, like somebody got smoked out there. But at the same time, as we're watching it, as we're commentating and analyzing what's happening, it really never feels like dominant from Shawnee. It feels like Full Sail is right there. They are 1 foot away the entire time, and if they can figure out what is keeping them pushed back that little bit, I absolutely think they could flip this entire series on its head.
They absolutely can, and you know what, to your point right there, I looked up at the scoreboard and saw 4-0, and I was like, really? Is it really that much of a dominating game from Shawnee State? Because yeah, they are having control of this series, but it doesn't feel like Full Sail is that. Well, they're not playing bad at all. Shawnee State is just taking advantage of every single small hole that Full Sail leaves. So even if you're not making mistakes, Shawnee State's gonna find a way to punish you.
Yeah, without a doubt. They have found a lot of great opportunities to punish, and I really want to highlight how Shawnee is finding these goals. And I talked about it a little bit there, but the chaos was still happening. I didn't really get to hone in on it while we're waiting between games. You know, it feels like a good time to bring it up, is they are really going for calculated plays. It always feels calm, cool, and collected. It's not like, oh, hit it toward their goal and we'll just kind of improvise when we get there. It's very, you knock it up for the double tap, I'll find the shot. You pinch off the corner, I'll find the shot. It never feels coincidental. And I think a lot of that is going to come from a team's general level of communication. Shawnee is showing us that they are most likely a very verbal team and a very effective one at that. Their comms, if I had to guess, would be incredibly clear-cut and very, intelligent when it comes to breaking down the game as a team.
And that seems to be a common theme tonight. We saw the same thing from Central Michigan, looking very comfortable as a team. Now Shawnee State doing it as well. One-on-one, who's going to win? And we can't get the flick over Fire Raptor. Fire Raptor's been the star of the night so far for Shawnee State. Takes another solo play down, this time cut off early. And you know what? Maybe with some physicality that Full Sail might try to come out with. Certainly stopped the chance there. Daxton down with the dribble, can't get much done with it. It's Shawnee State again, over one. Fire Raptor there, can he go home? It's just off the crossbar. The rebound coming in, saved off the post. And Elusive, what a read there to get out. What a play from Full Sail.
Oh my goodness, I thought that was a shoo-in to go in, but unfortunately just not there. The crossbar, that fourth teammate is gonna be, is not going to be able to block forever. Fire Raptor with a great goal off the corner, putting SSU back up 1-0, maintaining the lead that they've had since game 1.
And you know what? Another open net, and it looks like it's just a tough play there if you're Full Sail, because you're trying to get the shot stopped, and nobody can rotate in time. But again, we pointed out, Shawnee State is not going to give that up. They will take advantage of that every day of the week. There's a chance from Full Sail, but Fire Raptor just too quick to it. Zio for the drop down, Fire Raptor for the challenge, and it's Quiet Killer to clean it up, and it's 2-0 Shawnee State.
It's so fascinating to me because Shawnee State, as I mentioned, I don't believe I've seen this team before, but they have this weird success. There's only 3 people on their team, mind you, but it's like they have a plan A. Then if that doesn't work, they've definitely got a plan B. And it seems even when plan B didn't just work, they had that tertiary plan. There was a third plan to walk through and find that goal. And that's exactly how Quiet Killer was able to sneak in, put that goal down, and put Shawnee up. Okay, now 3-0 as they are just tearing Full Sail apart right now.
They are, and you know what, the miss on the back wall, that's going to cost you, especially when Zio gets the read off the back wall. It's a pass down for Fire Raptor, knocks it home. 3-0, just over a minute in, and Shawnee State looks ready for the sweep, trying to get the brooms out already, but still plenty of time for Full Sail. We saw the adaptability a little bit in game 1. They came back and at least got it tied up, but since then, it has been all Shawnee State as they are on offense once more, trying to get the clear out. It's a good pass back over to Elusive. Can't beat out Fire Raptor. This time, can he win the challenge? He does, over towards Zio, taking the shot, and a misflip there from the defense, and it's 4-0.
4-0 with 3:25 on the clock here. We are hardly 90 seconds into this matchup, and Shawnee's already up 4-0. They are in a great position to not only set our current point record of the day of 10 points, but they're also in a great opportunity to win this. Just looking at general statistics, they win games 1 and 2 in relatively dominant fashions, and then they come through, well, when you look at the scoreline, of course, then when you come through, they're already up 4-0. Full Sail has only found 1 point back in game 1, the first minute, and they have not been able, okay, Daxton immediately proving me wrong. I don't know if that's a caster curse, I don't know if that's a caster blessing, but either way, Full Sail is back on the board, and they have shown signs of life, which means signs of hope, which means signs of a possible game 4 if they can keep that up.
Yeah, and especially if Shawnee State keeps making a mistake like that, a little bit aggressive, might be trying to stretch the scoreboard a little bit too much for their own good. Taken advantage of by Full Sail off the kickoff. Coming through, the shot immediately cut off, but it's over towards Full Sail again. Tajara over towards the midfield, sees a teammate mid, but cut off by the defense. Now it's Fire Raptor going for the hook shot, actually slows it down, tries to go under, wins the challenge, and the chip out to midfield, still in favor of Full Sail. They're back the other way. Can Tajara get the flick? He can, double commit for the save, but it's plenty out. And that shot might be a little bit off. Another double commit. Shawnee State starting to panic. This is something that Full Sail might be able to do, is just play quick, and Shawnee State might struggle to react to it. out in the mid. That is dangerous, but they pinch it out together. And Shawnee State, a little bit time to breathe now.
Yeah, I've got to say, that Full Sail, I mean, really, all of a sudden, they just came out of the woodwork. The speed of the game felt like it doubled or tripled, and I feel we saw the cracks in Shawnee for just a moment. But they were still able to capitalize, turn it around, and put their 5th point on the board. If we can see a little bit more of that Full Sail, I think there's some great successes that we saw Ajara bring the ball in directly straight up into goal, a great dribble through, but the team wasn't there to immediately capitalize, immediately follow up, and unfortunately, Full Sail wasn't able to score. But I think we just saw the pieces in the right order, Powder. They just need to make that happen again.
They do, but, you know, Shawnee just not letting it happen. That time, no one home in net, so luckily the last man back is able to get up to it. Fire Raptor, can he do it again? Not quite yet, as Zio now looking for the back wall. Out from Full Sail, but not too far. Chipped up again from the defense. Good pass out to Fire Raptor. He's been all over the field today. Him and Zio, clearly the dynamic duo of this team. Quiet Killer playing a fantastic role as well. Up for Full Sail to attempt anything, but it's just not happening. The control consistently. This Fire Raptor pinched down. Zio up. Not happening, but Quiet Killer to follow. Like you said, the plan A doesn't work. Plan B, the rebound doesn't work, but plan C, third man back, able to get it.
Oh!
And what do you know? It results in a goal. 6-1, Shawnee.
Come on, I mean, as you're saying it, it unfolds before our very eyes. Plan A and B out the window. Plan C was right there to seal the deal. We've got 93 seconds left on the clock. We've got 5-point advantage for Shawnee State. And Powder, I think they're going to give us our second 3-0 of the evening. They really, I mean, no offense to our first team of the evening, whose name is slipping my mind, Central Michigan. Central Michigan did a great job, but Shawnee has come through, and even more than CMU. Just moments ago, they have set a precedent here. They have sent a message, and they are absolutely going to be on my radar as we continue through this season.
And the thing that's fun about this is that it's two teams who have had dominating series, but in two different ways.
Absolutely.
Central Michigan was a very quick, very mechanical team, and the Shawnee team has just got the ability to pass it to each other. They've got the plan set, the third man rotating in at the perfect times. It's two different styles of play that, again, when you have such a big league that we do in NACE Starleague, you're going to see multiple play styles that all work out, and it's just a matter of time before they meet, and those are going to be the banger matches when those happen later this season.
43 seconds left. 5 points are needed from Full Sail just to tie things up. I think the statistics are definitely against them on this one, Powder, which pretty much guarantees Shawnee their first 3-0, at least on the broadcast. Who knows? Maybe what happened last week, we weren't there. But either way, they come in quick. They have done a great job, and they have given us a very impressive execution. I definitely don't want to take away from Full Sail. I think we've really proven our point there of just saying, like, even with a 7-1 scoreline, Full Sail has shown us they have the pieces in the right order. They've got it all put together. It's just that capitalization, and I think communication could go a long way. There are 3 attempts in Game 3 alone that I saw one player from Full Sail kind of go for an opportunity to strike, and if they kind of pulled a Shawnee and they had a plan A, B, and C, I think it could have gone in, but instead they only had that plan A. Plan A didn't work, and they were all of a sudden back to square one.
Yeah, and you know, for Full Sail, you can, like you've said, you can see the pieces there. You can see these passes to one another that maybe are communicated, but it's just about nailing the passes to one another to finally get a goal in. So it's there for Full Sail, and as they unfortunately drop this series, it's something they can certainly look to in future weeks to build upon. Maybe they'll look for one more for the road. Can they get it? No, it drops to the ground. And again, what a series from Shawnee State. Just a pure and utter domination from them. Different than Central Michigan. This was much more methodical, much more a slow play team style of a win, but still a fantastic one at that.
Without a doubt. And believe it or not, Powder, tonight already halfway done. I mean, we've only got 2 series left. We've got University of Kansas versus Butler University, and then we've got St. Ambrose University versus Kennesaw to close out the evening. So 2 3-0s in a row. I know that I am, and I assume you are as well, hoping for something that's not a 3-0. I'd love to see a little bit more back and forth, a little bit more just general like competition between the teams. We've seen a lot of one-sided performance so far, but as these teams come in the future, we're going to be really excited to see how aggressive they come out. Do we have 4 3-0s in a row? Who knows? But what I do know is we are going to be throwing it to a rather mild break. We're going to get our interview ready with somebody from Shawnee State. And we will see you folks right back here in just a couple of minutes. Don't go far. What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to NACE Starleague Week 2, but Week 1 of broadcast. That'll be confusing. We'll probably, you guys get it. I'm still Septilance, that is Powder, and we will be joined by a Shawnee State player for our interview, one that I actually don't even know who it is yet, so we're going to find out in just a moment here who is being brought out. But, I am excited to talk to them. I feel like we have a lot of good questions about both the program and their performance individually here today.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're just joining in and you missed the series, Shawnee State just had a dominating 3-0 victory against Full Sail University. So excited to hop into the interview booth with this player and try to see how this match went for him.
Looks like it's going to be Fire Raptor as our interviewee with a couple of supporters in the background as well. But Fire Raptor, I mean, my first question here is you find the very first goal, if I'm not mistaken, and you do it pretty much alone. You take it from one side of the field, off the wall, down, you find a demolition, and you find the goal off the back. So was that kind of the moment you guys kicked it up a notch? Was there anything specific you did there, or was that just you playing spur of the moment, finding that opportunity and running with it?
Yeah, it was definitely a spur of the moment thing. Like when I took it down the left side of the field, I kind of just beat two people, and then the net was more or less just open. Like, but once we got that, the ball started rolling, and then it was more goals from there on out.
In game one, it was a little bit of a slower start. I want to say, I'm pretty sure it was just the lowest scoring game overall, both for you guys and for Full Sail. So how did that feel coming into were there any nerves or anything? Because based on the rest of the series, it seemed like that game just seemed a little bit different from you.
Yeah, it was just like definitely a warm-up game, because when you're sitting in training, it's not the same as a normal game. So once we got goals in that game and we ended up winning, the second, third games, I got warmed up and he started scoring a lot more, so it was just a lot easier.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into my next question. I asked this in the previous series as well because they played a very similar way to you guys as well. But do you see yourselves as a momentum-based team? You mentioned that once you guys got warmed up, it was pretty much over. It kind of clicked with you guys, and games 2 and 3 were just purely dominating. So is that kind of how you guys work out, or do you try to just play the way that you can?
Yeah, I can definitely see us being a momentum-based team. The confidence that can be gained after the first game will definitely carry over for the second and third game. Because you can see that in the second, third game, we definitely got more creative with the goals we were trying. So
yeah, absolutely.
It definitely has a snowball effect.
Yeah, snowball effect, I think, is kind of a good descriptor of what you guys brought to the table today. Game 1, a little bit shaky. Games 2 and 3, just that continuing roll of the snowball. But one more question for you, Fire Raptor, and a pretty easy one. Is there anybody you'd like to give a general shout-out or a thank you to while you're here with us?
Big up Zaya for carrying games 2 and 3. I could not put the ball in the net after that first game. So
fair enough, short and sweet. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us, and again, a huge congrats to you all on that victory. And with that, folks, we are getting ready to jump into Game 3 in just a little while here. Game 3, we've got the University of Kansas versus Butler University, and Game 4, St. Ambrose versus Kennesaw State to wrap up the evening. We talked about this a little bit during the break, Powder. It's like, these teams, the names look a little familiar, but we're still in that situation where we haven't seen this variation of the team, this version of the team. So are they going to live up to the old calibers, the old expectations, or are they going to bring out a brand new beast this season?
Yeah, and for University of Kansas, this is the team that I'm looking for as well. This is a team who's made good runs in other leagues as well, and you know what? Made it all the way to, I want to say, the championship in NACE a couple of years ago. So this is a school that has history here in NACE, but with this roster, it's just, we have to see how they perform. I want to say over the summer, this roster made a deep run within another league, but now it's up to them in NACE to see how they take it against Butler University.
And Butler University, a program I'm more familiar with than this Rocket League team, to be quite honest. I know that they're going to be bringing out their hardest trained players, their most excited players. And I've, full disclosure, I don't think I've seen Kansas or University of Kansas before. So I'm excited to learn from that as well. This is that first week where we really get the chance to look at these players from so much more than their names on a spreadsheet. We get their names so early, but it's like, until I see that player, I'm not really going to know anything about them. So this is their time to prove themselves the same way we've seen a couple of schools do that already. Shawnee State and Central Michigan University really coming in large and in charge. But Powder, like I said, I'm really hoping that we get maybe not a 3-0. I'd even take a 3-1 at this point.
I gotta agree with you, and you know what? We said it in the previous match as well, but it feels like this has gotta be it. These are two teams where I think we recognize players on both of these rosters. We've mentioned how University of Kansas, they have history here in NACE. They have history as a roster as well. It feels like that this could be the one that, you know, may not go the distance, but you know, at this point we don't need that. We just need a game 4. We just need one more game, and I feel like this could be the one. But you know what? We might have another 3-0 on our hands. One of these teams might have something in store for us.
Hopefully there is something exciting in store for us, whether it is a game 4 or 5, or maybe just some weird plays that we really haven't seen before. The one thing I'm still, I don't want to say relying on, but hoping to see is, of course, that just extreme aggression. We really haven't seen any kind of proactive demolition crazy teams, and those are usually my favorites. I don't know what it is about the demos. I have a good time with them. I think they're a lot of fun to watch, and I'd love to see one of these teams come out the gate and do that exact play style. I think the Rocket League really changes when a team plays that play style, because if you force a team into what constantly feels like a 3v2, that has to bring out entirely new types of adaptation. That's not like a, oh, they figured out our pass off, you know, our double tap score, we have to change that. That's like, we have to change every playbook we brought here. We have to rewrite history right now.
And that's the great thing about a physical play style. And you know what? I'm looking for a team to bring it out as well. We saw Full Sail with a couple bombs and demolitions in the previous series, but it didn't really feel like they were going after the meta,
right,
going after demolitions. And I think that if a team is struggling, you know what? We'll say it again. It certainly could be a thing that turns the tide of a series. You know, this game is played in 3v3 for a reason. So if you're constantly taking a man out of that rotation, it's going to throw some teams off if they can't adjust to it. And I really think that the first team to do that, whether it's being proactive about it and doing it at the beginning of the series or doing it after they go down, is really going to shift their series that they're in.
I'm trying to think of what the best opener would be with that hyper-aggressive team. Would it be to fake on kickoff and look for a demolition immediately? Would it be to get ball control into your opponent's back third and then turn it into a demolition derby? I truly don't know. I'm really excited to see what these teams do as that opening play, whether it's the hyper-aggressive demolition derby or not. Whatever strategy they're bringing to the table, I feel like a kickoff can really kind of immediately be a precursor of what's coming up next, right? If they go for the general kickoff goal, double tap into goal situation, that's going to show they're probably following some pretty traditional rule books. Or if they go for something a little bit more weird, I mean, a fake on a kickoff is something that on the kickoff rather, of like the beginning of the game, I don't think that's something I've ever seen. So if someone did do that, I'd be excited to figure out why.
It would be certainly risky, but you know what? If it pays off for you, that is huge momentum at the start of a series. So interesting to see how these teams will start off. And again, I'm just waiting to see which team it just plays that physical, because we haven't gotten to see it yet today. It's pretty much the only play style we haven't seen yet. We've seen quick, we've seen methodical, but we haven't really seen physical just yet. And I'm just waiting on one team who kind of senses those demolitions, has one player on the team who can just seek those out and hunt players down to try to give their team an advantage.
Yeah, and there's this one play that comes with that play style that I feel like we see pretty often, but weirdly enough, like you said, haven't seen today, where it's that kind of general, one of your teammates comes in and demos whoever's playing goalie in that moment, whoever's blocking goal, and then that's usually an open goal. But that's such a textbook play. I expected to see it at least once, but instead it's just been a constant change-up. A lot of aerial goals today as well. I've noticed we're seeing a lot more air play than ground play.
Yeah, that comes with the mechanics of these players as well. You know, this is the highest level of NACE, the NACE Starleague. So these players are going to have the mechanics to go after plays like that. And, you know, it's worked out up to this point. We haven't seen anything extremely flashy yet, but you know what? It's still fun to see these players show off the mechanics that they have. And with these players as well, I think that this might be one of the best matches we have so far. We've got to see these players before. I really think that these players might have the best mechanics we've seen so far tonight.
I really do hope so, because those are the, like you said, the goals in the games that are usually the most interesting. When you see people juggling the ball for 10, 15 seconds, you're like, whoa, like that's insane. Yeah. Well, if you understand the mechanics of the game. If you don't, you're like, okay, score already. But if you do, I mean, that really is a difficult feat for a player to do. And I would love to see that high level of mechanical skill. I would love to see the air dribble from one side all the way to the other, or kind of a fake out in the air. It just would really be an interesting play. But like I said, you know, full disclosure, I really am not super familiar with either of these teams. So there's a clean slate in the mind of Septilence here on what these players are going to bring out. And I'm excited to see them kind of write their stories into the rest of the season.
And especially when you talk about stories, and I was just going to mention with University of Kansas as well, this maybe not necessarily being the same roster that made a deep run into playoffs a couple of years ago, but still you have that school history behind you. It may not have been you, but it's kind of what you see in traditional sports as well. You carry this tradition, you carry history behind you. And that might put on a little bit of pressure as well. I think this Kansas team is still a fantastic roster, but when you walk in with the history of previous players before you, you know, it might add a little bit more pressure coming into seasons.
Yeah, there really is kind of that mindset of big shoes to fill. And whether or not there's, you know, one player on the team that was there during that insane run, or whether there's no players, I wholeheartedly agree. It's like, we know we've done it before. Let's be able to do it again. Let's live up to that potential. Let's live up to these stories and fairy tales and whatever you'd like to call them that our school has already shown. Let's show them we can do it all the same with or without those players. And maybe University of Kansas is looking to build that narrative here today. But for now, we can only hypothesize as we wait for, I believe there was a small tech issue once again, you know, as is the way of live production. You're never going to have a live production without somebody's mouse or keyboard or monitor or something. That's just what you've got to expect in a situation like esports live production. So I'm excited to see what these players do, no matter how long it takes to get there. I know we'll get there eventually, and that's part of the fun. We know they'll ready up when they can, and we're going to get ready to jump into this series where we are hoping just for not a 3-0, or if it is a 3-0, at least a very close one.
Yeah, and again, and it felt like we did have a closer 3-0 in the previous series, too. It didn't feel like Ozarks, we'll be honest, they kind of struggled against Central Michigan's speed, but Full Sail felt like they at least had somewhat of an answer to, I forgot the name already, excuse me, but their opponent's more methodical play style. It just felt like Shawnee, still with that control, was able to just still dominate, but not as much, and it felt a lot closer. Like we said, a little bit shocked to see how wide the score was opened up in the middle of, game 2, but these players now are underway. Oh no, do we have an early double? No! We do! It's Kansas starting off hot.
We just got here. We didn't even see the ball touch the ground. We literally came in as it was going into the goal. And my goodness, we talked about the aggressive opener, that the immediate kickoff goal, and Kansas was like, hey, all right, let's show them what that looks like. They find it. They are up 106 seconds into the game, Powder. Holy cow, what an opener.
This is such a perfect start for Kansas, and you know what? I feel like they had the little bit of an edge, and it might be biased just because I've gotten to see a couple of these players before and gotten to see this roster before, but, you know, Butler, maybe with an answer, they have some offense early on as they go into the air and into the corner. Just has to take it back, though. Smart play. Give it right back to a teammate. Not able to get it right away. Can't beat out the defender. Actually, he can. He dumps it off into the corner. The shot got to be ripped out low. Top left corner just off. Can Munch follow it up? Beaten out by the defender and sent out. We have a very quick start to game 1.
Yeah, we really do. This does not feel like the traditional game 1. You know, I've been saying game 1s are often that time where a player or teams can feel out their opponent. You know, can we be the offense? Can we be the defense? But right now, everybody's just like shooting to kill. They're just like, score right now, go right now. It is just that insane immediate level of aggression being brought to the table that I still think this is going to be a really exciting series. And okay, once again, we almost see the goal, but close, not going to cut it. You've got to find it all the way in past that goal line.
Butler, that's a couple times now that they've come close. Still not able to find it yet, but, you know, less than 90 seconds in, they've got plenty of time. And, you know, Kai's got plenty of boost on the wall, tries to give it off to a teammate midfield, kind of fakes him out. It works out in favor of Butler, and he also gets the boost steal, trying to starve out Kansas. Not quite working yet, though. Dumped into the corner, and it's Papa Red up to follow. Kai down into the midfield, looking for a teammate. It's Morales to the back wall, looking to follow and drop this down, but given out to Spade. And Kansas doing what they can to break out. They can do it, but Kai to shut them right down, and Butler, they keep pressing. Can they find the goal? Under. It's over. It's high. Can anybody get it? They cannot. It's Morales coming in, though, to keep the offense going.
Oh, my goodness. Just close as close can be, but close only going to count in horseshoes and hand grenades here, so they are not able to cut that out. And Powder, I think you accidentally nailed the strategy of Butler right now. I think we're looking at a boost drought situation, because while you were talking, I was watching Kansas and watching their boost, and I think Spade just got to a full 100 for the first time in 2 minutes. I mean, it really has been Butler trying to be in control of boost, but as I'm talking about it, the flip has been stripped. The waffle iron has been flipped completely over, and now it looks like we're seeing Kansas coming quickly with that boost drought scenario. They're trying to zone out Butler as quickly as they can. And speaking of Butler, almost putting that goal down, but just cannot find the ball in that goal.
Oh, and such a close call there. Butler nearly giving them a goal, but no, good rotation on them. They still have an opportunity on offense. Double down. That one's on. Can he clean it up? He can. What a play, and Munch cleans it up.
No one can see me, but I'm clapping for Munch right there. What an execution. Coming in off the corner from Kai. Munch there to follow up. It's not quite a secondary plan, but the end of the first one, just a couple inches away from not being able to work, but it did work at the end of the day, and that's what matters. Tied up 1-1, 2:18 on the clock. We are looking at essentially a complicated 0-0, right? We're seeing one of these teams has to score to find the victory. If we go into 0 on the clock with this score, we're going into overtime until somebody finds that point to win.
And these teams, it really does feel like the most close in skill we've had yet today. Oh no, Kansas caught out. It's a wide open net, and he gets it in, slotting it through the right side, and Butler's got their lead.
I mean, Munch really woken up here. Not that they were doing poorly to begin with, but I feel like we've really seen an increase in momentum here in the second half of Game 2. Munch finding 2 goals. I think that was like 15 or 20 in-game seconds, so pretty quick turnaround there. Butler, they found that 1-point advantage. Let's see what they're able to do with it. Can they keep it? Can they win with it? Are they going to try to take that point lead even further?
It's Kansas just struggling since that early goal to gain more offense. It's Kai shutting them down once more as it's off into the corner now. Shura beats out one. He's able to follow it. Kansas really struggling to get out. They have control of the ball, but just not able to get a full clear yet as Kai now forward. One man and not able to catch up to it. It's Kansas out to midfield. That's about it though, as Kai now still some boosts as he takes it to the side. Dishes it off to a teammate, shut down by the defense. The follow-up is high. 2 went though. Can he get it to the left side? No, he shoots it right at both defenders, and they're there to make the stop. Butler still with possession, finally broken out by Kansas, and just over 60 seconds left to try to get this one tied up, try to get it to an overtime.
Butler almost found the hat trick from Munch, but unfortunately, it just falls a little bit short. It keeps them in the lead by only that single point. We talked about last series, kind of the false security a single point can present, and Chura puts the exclamation point on the end of my sentence there. It was exactly that. We're in the lead, but hardly. They score one time, we're tied up. All of a sudden, nobody's got a lead. And with only 56 seconds on the clock, Powder, this is a true now or never moment. This is put that point on the board and win. We're walking this all the way into overtime until somebody does.
And we'd love to see that be the first one of the day and of the season, but Munch might have something to say about it. Flip reset, pushes it forward, 1 to follow. Loses the challenge though. Now it's Kai taking it upon himself, dribbling it out, still with possession. Off the side wall from Shura. Turning back is Butler. They'll choose to play defense instead. He's taking it up the wall, going after the demolition. Kansas might be looking for that physicality. They couldn't land at that time. Now into the midfield. Powerful clear out. Beats out 2, but Spade on the follow. Who's stolen, though, and now you can see Kansas a little bit low. Doesn't matter, though, as Spade is able to find it through, and they've got the lead late.
Powder, I have noticed something, and I'm starting to think I'm starting to think Kansas has as well. Butler is playing the type of style where they have a front runner. They have the score finder, the goal finder, then they've got 2 players to back them up, that player being Munch. I think Kansas has noticed that, and I think they're trying to isolate Munch as effectively as they can to make sure they stay on top, and they've done a phenomenal job so far. Munch hasn't touched the ball in probably close to a minute. We had a minute 30 something on the clock last time I saw Munch with ball control. They have not even grazed it since, and that's what Kansas, I think, has been trying to do, keep that player out of the way. They found the 1 goal they needed to win, and as we trickle down to 3 seconds left, Kansas, they are sneaking out with that Game 1 victory.
Still an opportunity, though. Still into the air, but not the touch that Butler needs. And that, honestly, is a heartbreaking loss if you're Butler. You had the lead and gave up 2 in a row late to end up losing Game 1. But you know what? Still, they've got more. You talked about at the very beginning of the broadcast, just GG, regain, go next. That's all you got to do if you are Butler. They had perfect control of the ball for about the mid-portion of that game, but gave it away to Kansas late.
Now, I just cannot believe Kansas. What a phenomenal turnaround. We talked about wanting a close series, and by golly, I hope the rest of the series is just like that, because it was tied up to less than a minute on the clock. Kansas finds that clutch goal. They put it away. They walk away with Game 1. But like you said, Powder, that's the beauty of Rocket League. You lost Game 1. And in essence, it's almost like, okay, we lost Game 1, so what? Let's go in and win Game 2. Let's tie things back up and really reset the clock to walk away with this series victory. And Butler has shown us, clearly they are capable of doing just that.
They certainly are. Just caught out a couple of times by Kansas, and there at the end got a little bit aggressive. They were getting desperate for the last goal, and instead of being able to tie it up, they had to go all the way back and go coast to coast. Didn't quite work out for them. I still like the way that both of these teams are playing. It feels like that each of them can get a win off of one another with the way that they play. So I wouldn't recommend any major adjustments for either of these teams. Just small little tweaks need to be made, especially for Butler, to try to get that win and try to hold on to the lead this time. As we hop into game 2, we'll have to see how they respond, giving that one up late.
What is the response from Butler going to be? Have they noticed as well what's kind of happening from Kansas? Are they intentionally targeting Munch here, or was that sheer coincidence? Was that just an opportunity for Kansas to sneak in and find a victory? Munch already playing that back third, blocking out that goal, making sure Spade does not get to sneak away with an early goal, even though they are going to try. Spade walks it all the way up to the front door, but it is slammed in their face. We are still looking at that 1-1, or that 0-0 scoreline, no points on the board.
We saw Kansas in game 1 get the early goal, maybe trying to get another here. They have early offense, hasn't resulted in quite much just yet. Down in favor for Butler. Breaking out though is Kansas, starting to get a little more aggressive. You can see him chase down Kai after winning the challenge. Can't find it yet. That one will be high as well. Rebound though is off, and now 2 went upfield for Kansas. But Butler can't win out the challenge. This still results in possession, but not quite a quick counterattack. And instead, right back into the hands of Kansas. Chura got the reset, can't follow it up. Now beaten out by Butler. Here's an opportunity, but instead he allows Papa to take it over. And possession back into the hands of Kansas.
A minute off the clock. So this game already telling a considerably different story. You know, we saw Spade with that, 4-second goal, I believe, and that really put Kansas in a comfortable position. That goal, at the end of the day is part of the reason they were able to win. But this time they don't find that extra goal. They don't find that point to make them feel secure early on, but instead it's Kansas instead struggling for ball control. Butler, they seem to hold a majority of it, but at the same time can't score off the back of it. It feels like Butler is almost there. They're 9/10 of the way there. They've just got to put that ball in goal.
And that's honestly the perfect way to describe it as well, especially in this game too, where Butler has had the majority of the possession, but it's not resulting in much, and it's not even really many shots either. Over 90 seconds in, we saw Kansas with some opportunities, couldn't get it. Butler has had plenty, but just nothing from either team. As time continues to tick down now. We missed there, but Kai's still into the midfield. Good challenge, but he can't take the player off the field. Pass out, no boost left. Can't catch up for Papa Pedro, but the shot still in from Spade. And he gets the lead for Kansas.
The lead for Kansas found, and I mean, hey, a little bit late, but as a wise man once said, we still take those. We absolutely take those. Coming in quick, they find, not quick actually, coming in at a rather regular pace, 2 minutes off the clock, but coming in regardless with that 1-point advantage. Kansas, they know, just as anybody watching probably knows, you only got to win by 1 point. It's not flashy, but it gets the job done.
It certainly does. As Kansas now again, maybe looking to build off that goal. Oh, a good challenge off Kai, but into the hands of Butler once again. But now Butler has to get something done with it. They've gotten these possessions, but it doesn't have, or not much happens with them. And this is their chance. Can he beat him out to the ball? Nobody finding it. Beaten out by Kansas again, though. Spade gonna try to hook this one in, taken off the field. Smart demolition. That's the physicality we need to see. You don't necessarily need to chase demolitions, but something like that will break it out. Now another opportunity for Butler, placed high, read perfectly off the back wall, forced to race on back. Spade will take it to the back again, and Kansas just continuing to hold this pressure.
The pressure, just waiting for the valve to pop here. If they can break through, Butler would be able to tie things up. 2 minutes on the clock. There is more than enough time on the clock for either team to really begin to write a new narrative, to write a new story. But as Butler continues to struggle to even find ball control, let alone a goal, that is going to leave Kansas open to put some more goals down. They're now up 2-0.
Butler really just struggling to break out. A slow challenge there, and nobody left behind him to clean things up when that miss comes out. Kansas just seeming to play a little bit too quick for Butler's liking. And it's that speed that's just resulting Butler in not necessarily a panic, but just not able to keep up with the pace of gameplay.
Right.
It's a 2-0 lead now for Kansas as Butler trying anything they can, and maybe some passes will help them go back the other way.
We've got 100 seconds left on the clock. That is 1 goal per 50 seconds. 5-0 for Butler, and that is absolutely doable. Doable beyond belief. And it's just going to be if they get ball control to a consistent point. Morales has it there, knocks it towards goal. There's absolutely zero follow-up. Nobody was there to knock it in or to double tap or even find a demo to hope it roll in on its own. It was just an open ball, basically handed it right over to Kansas. They're going to take that and run with it.
Certainly are, as Kansas looking for more offense again. The passing plays out. Maybe Butler can take advantage of this. It was an aggressive play, sending 3 men up, but Kansas just too quick back. Now he's got to race back. It's a slow ball over towards the side, and Kai will clean it up to get it towards the side. Out in the midfield now. Pushed forward into Papa Pedro, bumping him out of the way, and a fake out there, but he gives it right into the hands of Spade. Good catch up from Butler, but not much happening on the offensive side from Butler, and that is what they need. Still held scoreless in this game as they march back to offense. They need to get anything going, and it's just simply not happening. Kansas just too much control of the ball.
Oh my goodness, just a great block there. Bounces right off the corner of the goal, and now it's going to be Kai coming in quick, trying to bring it, knocks it down. I think we're looking at it again. Powder goes all the way down toward the goal of Kansas. Nobody is there to catch it. It just is passed to Kansas, and it's going to be Butler kind of floundering a little bit off the back of their own play. They need somebody there. They need a little bit more communication to know why they're sending it that way. Who's going to go catch it? Who's going to try and knock it into goal? Because each time they clear it down towards the goal of Kansas, they're just handing it back to Kansas.
Oh, Spade coming out with the double tap here, securing game 2. And, you know, you felt like it was coming from Kansas. Just consistent pressure. And actually, that's technically not even a double. I guess kind of in a way, but it's actually a pass
like
from his teammate.
Like a 1.5 tap?
A 1.5 tap as it comes from his teammate, but he stayed in the air, cleaned it up. And, you know, Kansas walking out with a 2-0 series lead. And Septilets, I thought this was going to be our 4-game series, but Butler has a lot to fix here in between games if they want that to happen.
I wholeheartedly agree with you right now, Powder. Game 1 was so close. We saw just neck and neck, tooth and nail, but game 2, Kansas really started to run away with it. And I think I did a pretty effective job highlighting why I think that was happening, with that being a lot of Butler clearing down toward the goal of Kansas, but then all 3 of them are still playing defense. So it's like, okay, you've just prolonged the inevitable. You've made the wick a little bit longer, right? But you still aren't putting out the fire. You still aren't diffusing the bomb here. It's just waiting a little bit longer for that team to come through and score on you eventually. I think what I want to see is either a clear with an immediate follow-up from that player, or a clear while a teammate is also gunning it downfield, trying to find that goal afterwards. Because right now it really does just feel like, and then they wait 10 seconds and have to do it again. It's just that constant routine we're seeing.
You know, and I wholeheartedly agree. And sometimes it can be frustrating to watch sometimes, not gonna lie, when it feels like the team has it right there, the ability to give a pass out to somebody instead of just clearing it down. But you know what? It all comes with the way that Kansas is playing. They are forcing them to feel desperate for clears, and they just won't allow Butler any opportunity for them other than to just bang it downfield. And again, it just keeps building this desperation that you can see Butler feeling. And it's just resulting in less and less control for Butler and Kansas. You know, walking into game 3, they want to keep that up. They want to keep Butler feeling desperate, needing anything to go their way. But if it keeps going along this way, we're looking like it is looking like Kansas might walk away with a sweep.
Truly, Kansas is 5 minutes. They're hypothetically 1 goal away from walking away with a sweep. And there's something interesting about playing at a competitive level versus watching people play at a competitive level. Because to us, as the commentators, as the analysts, we're like, oh my goodness. I'm gonna continue my point, but that is an early goal for Kansas. We're watching, we're like, wow, that's crazy that they keep doing that. But as the player in the moment, they might not even be aware they are doing that. You know what I mean? It's like they are just living in that moment. They're trying to adapt and survive as long as they can. They may not even realize that they're stuck in this routine of clear, defend, clear, defend, clear, defend. But Kansas, they don't even want the defense right there. They just want the goal.
Yeah, and to your point right there, that's exactly why scrims and replay reviews are important, because you can get so locked into how you're playing, and just that, again, that desperation, just needing anything to go your way with it not happening, that it's important to take a look back at those and work on those between weeks. Like we said, early on in this season, you expect to see stuff like that happen for a team like Butler, and it's just something they got to work on. But early on, even though they are down, they still have a chance, and maybe they can clang one home there. No, but can the rebound go their way? No, it's cut off by the defense. And out into the midfield, it's Papa Pedro finishing it off, following it up himself. Midfield pass, what a play! It's off the crossbar. One taken off the field, though. Munch can catch up. It's a slow roller down, and Spade will clean it up.
Everybody watches that one happen in slow motion. You're just waiting for it to roll. Because, to be fair, sometimes it doesn't. And those are the weird plays. But no, this time Spade is there to bounce it right into goal, secure that second point for Kansas. And now they are 4 minutes away from giving us our third 3-0 sweep. And Powder, and something I just realized is, if Kansas wins this, the home team has not only won every time, the home team has 3-0'd every time.
have to see if that ends up being a complete pattern throughout the night. You know, if Kansas can hold on to this, I still think Butler has a fantastic chance to get back into it, but they need a change of gameplay. We talked about how after game one, they didn't need a massive adjustment. Right. I wouldn't say that this one is a massive one, but they need to stop feeling so desperate. We saw clear right there where it was a pass to one another, and you know what? Look at this. It's working out for them. Kansas might have possession, but they don't exactly look comfortable, except for the demolition. And what do you know? It's Butler in again. Munch off the ceiling. Can he take advantage? Just not enough in the tank. Is the rebound in? No, it's a double commit, though. Getting Kansas to get a bit panicky. Here's Kai on the follow. It's a soft one, and it's out from Kansas once again.
You know, it's something... At the end of the day, Powder, when you start a game like Rocket League, fundamentally, your primary concern is, I want to keep the ball as far away from my goal as possible. Because the further away your opponent is, the harder it is to score. And I think that's kind of what Butler is accidentally doing. They're falling back on those fundamentals where they're thinking, keep it as far from our goal as possible. But like you mentioned, that's not always the best play. It might actually be smarter to not clear the ball and try to dribble it down toward the opposing goal instead of just ditching it at the earliest convenience.
Certainly, and you know, Butler starting to win these challenges out. It feels like they have made slight adjustments to how they want to get these clears out and want to get on offense. It's just not resulting in the goal yet as we reach halftime. And Munch has plenty of time. Oh, never mind. Here comes Spade to try to cut it off, and it works out for Kansas. A pass back. Oh, it's actually to nobody. Placed wide by Butler, but nobody to follow, and it's Kansas back again. Butler doing anything possible off the ceiling. Can they get the read? It's Kai. Can't catch up. Shot on, but actually cut off. And once more, Butler just struggling to really secure an offense and really set up one that is dangerous for these shots.
Kansas, they are 2 minutes away from being able to walk away with that 3-0 sweep, our third of the evening. I mean, there's so little that can be done right now from Butler. I think we're watching a lot of just immediate adaptability from Kansas. Even if something looks like it's not going to go their way for 2 seconds, for 5 seconds, they're immediately changing their play style, changing the pass, changing the location of the ball, or finding demolition. Kansas is hands down our most physical team today. It's not the main focus of their play style, but I think we've undoubtedly seen more demolitions from them than we've seen from probably any other team combined tonight.
They certainly have been. Less than 90 seconds left, and you know, this domination, this control just continues. Winning that challenge there. Kai again to an open net. Is it through? He can, just behind the defender, and don't count him out just yet.
Down but not out. Backs against the wall but still swinging. Fight or flight has activated, and they are flightless birds. Okay, I don't have a fourth one, but the point is, Butler has put a point on the board, and that means they are ready to shake things up. That 2-point advantage, the largest false sense of security in a game of Rocket League. Now Butler has 71 seconds to find just a single point here, Powder, and they are so close to doing it just there in that moment, but still ball control in favor of Butler. Kai has it knocked down toward the center field. It's going to be an immediate demolition in favor of Butler. They've got 60 seconds on the clock. Pressure is against them. It's now or never. Can they make game 4 happen? Can they make even an overtime happen? A great clear into center field with a follow-up from Kai. Ball's a little bit short, and I think that's going to be the window for Kansas to take ball control once again.
But I still loved that set from Butler.
Absolutely.
And it's just unfortunate to see with only a minute left. It felt like they finally had pressure. It felt like they finally were making Kansas a little bit scared. But it's happening too late in the game. They only have just over 30 seconds to not only get the ball back, but set that back up and get a goal to tie it up. Morales has to get around on it. It's a good pass out to a teammate.
Oh, wow.
Played very high. Chura up. It's towards the side. And Butler doing a much better job. You can see the pace of play from them picking up, but again, just too late. Kansas is matching it, getting the ball out. Papa Pedro just a slow play up, less than 10, and Kansas winning that one. An awkward play here. Can they try to secure it? Down to the ground, still alive as it's popped up. Looking for the ground is Kansas. Chura will play it down, and Kansas has our third sweep of the night.
You know what? A 3-0, but by golly, there was a moment there, Powder. I know you felt it, because I know I felt it as well. That was Butler came to life. In a matter of mere seconds, they showed us the potential that team has. They had the lead. They had the progressive advantage for maybe 10 seconds. And holy cow, it looked like a brand new team. That is the sign of life I want to see in week 2, because that's the type of game you want to go back and watch and realize we were this close. All we have to change is, you know, these two things. You change those two things, Butler is going to come out swinging next week, guaranteed.
They certainly will, because you know what, and like I mentioned, they had all that offense, they had those great sets, but it only happened in the final 60 seconds.
Right.
If they had found that at the beginning of game 3, I think we're heading to a game 4. Unfortunately, that's not what happened, but you know what? That's just the beauty of how these leagues work. You got plenty of time to figure it out. We're only in week 2 again, so Butler, again, got to go back, look over the VOD, but you know what? That one's a good one to look over because you can see that last minute, how they play, just go back to that, and I like that. I like their chances.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree. Maybe they can do a little bit of VOD review during this upcoming break. You know, we're going to be taking a couple of minutes here, getting the interview set up, and everybody go ahead, use the restroom, get a snack, do what you got to do, but meet us right back here for our interview and 4th and final series of the night. We'll see you in just a bit. What is going on, everybody, and welcome back once again to NACE Starleague. I'm still Septilence, that's still Powder, and we are just coming to y'all after the 3-0 victory by the University of Kansas. And Powder, I would say, game one, not particularly dominant, but games 2 and 3, Kansas, they were a little more ruthless.
Yeah, they certainly showed up to play those last two games. That's kind of been the trend tonight. These teams not necessarily having a bad game one, but it feels like a warm-up game. That could be the broadcast nerves. It could be week 2, still getting warmed up. But they certainly have had much better games 2 and 3, and Kansas showed us that today.
Absolutely, and I believe we're joined by Chura here, who will be joining us in just a moment. I'm very excited to talk to them, hear a little bit more kind of in the team rather than just what we're seeing. So, Chura, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
We're doing great. Just watched quite a good series. We were having a good time with it.
Yep.
So I want to ask, kind of addressing the first game, and Powder just touched down on this a little bit. It wasn't as dominant, so to speak, as games 2 and 3 were from you guys. So is that kind of a warm-up? Is that a general nerves thing?
Yeah, we're usually cold game 1. It's also very cold in this room. They had to put a space heater right here behind me because my hands are so cold. But yeah, games 2 and 3, we seem to come back and actually make it how it should be. So
yeah, good to hear. And you guys, I haven't gotten to see you guys play as a full roster before. I've gotten to see a couple players, specifically Spade, and with your team having history in NACE, making it all the way into the grand finals in 2020 with Spade on that roster, how does it feel when you kind of have that history behind you and kind of not necessarily expectations, but some shoes to fill?
Yeah, I just transferred here this year, so I wasn't actually here when they did all that, but Spade was. Pedro, I think, just came in the year after, but yeah, that team was really good, and they got pretty far, and yeah, we just trying to get as far as they did and hopefully win it, so.
Yeah, and what do you guys think is kind of your game plan going into the future weeks? You had a good week here in week 2. What's kind of the game plan? Are you going back to anything specific to try to work on as you head into the rest of your regular season?
So last week we played Michigan Tech and we beat them, and we won this game. Siena Heights we know is pretty good. So yeah, just trying to work on little things, just trying to overall make it smoother and hopefully take them and hopefully take our group.
Absolutely.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, that's the goal, right? To get as far as you possibly can to try to live up to those 2020 expectations. Chura, just one more quick question for you before we let you go. Is there anybody you'd like to give just a thank you or a general shout out to?
My family usually watches. I don't know if they are. I sent them the link, but if so, them. Also, AJ Brown and Cooper Kupp won me my fantasy league this week, so shout out them. And that's
I'm
about
a
it.
Lions fan. I don't like that.
Oh well, rough week for you, but as an Eagles fan,
it's a rough life for me, but we take it how it is.
Absolutely. Well, Chura, hey, thank you so much for joining us, and a huge congrats to you and your team once again.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And folks, with that, we've got, believe it or not, it feels kind of like we just got here, but we've got one more series left today, and I'm really excited to see how that one breaks down. Off the dome, oh wait, no, just kidding. It's right here in front of me. St. Ambrose University versus Kennesaw State University. I'm eager. Again, full disclosure, I've been honest with you guys all day. I haven't personally seen these teams before, so I'm doing a lot of learning here.
Yeah, and this is one of these matchups where I don't know if we've 100% seen either of these teams play just yet. It's kind of more of the same. We've seen some of them. I think I've seen a few of St. Ambrose's members play, but not for Kennesaw State. So interesting to see again in this week 2 how these teams come out and how they play against their opponents. And if we keep up with tradition here, we've had 3-0 sweeps from all of our home teams today. So St. Ambrose, they've got shoes to fill now too. They want to get that 3-0 and keep the tradition up for the broadcast.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen the home team. Hold on, let me check my notes. We've seen the home team win 3 times in a row at a 3-0. Yeah. So we saw Central Michigan win it. Oh no, I'm lying. Game 1, Central Michigan won. That's not the home. Okay, so 2 times in a row. Sorry, I literally just completely missed. Okay, my bad on that one, but still 2 times in a row. That is a pattern. Let's see if Game 4 will make it 3. Will St. Ambrose, Sappy, Faceless Kraken, and Shalanker walk away with that 3-0 victory, or will Kennesaw come to fight? We've got Dolo, Aura, and Fear. There's something really aesthetically pleasing about all 3 of their names being 4 letters.
Oh, absolutely. Kind of that intimidation coming in. You see those players that line up across you, just pretty much all matching 4 letters across the board. So, maybe some mind games being played by Kennesaw State today.
Maybe that's just, yeah, it shows like a level of dominance. Like in some other games, like everybody has the same banner or like the same like profile picture. You show up, everybody's name has 4 letters. That's a team right there. That's a coordinated team, and that's of course going to be a little bit scarier than one who maybe didn't look as I don't know, as like aesthetic. I don't know what the word to use there, but either way, it is quite funny to see that. You got to wonder if it was planned or if it was completely unintentional across the board. Either way, I'm excited. Coliseum, I believe that's where we started this evening, and it's where we're going to be ending as well. You know, 2 teams walk in, only 1 team walks away. Victor. Everybody walks away. Nobody's, you know what I mean? Only 1 team walks away a victor, and who knows? Like full disclosure, I don't know much about either of these teams.
Yeah, and again, just that's the fun part about the beginning of the season is getting to learn these rosters. You know, we're going to get to see them in other collegiate leagues as well, but here in NACE, kind of the first time we're seeing them, and maybe we'll see them again later on in the season. But here we go into game number 1. Do we have another kickoff goal? But maybe not this time. We saw a banger last match, but this time a little bit of a slower start as it's now Kennesaw State out into the midfield. Not much happening there, so it's Sap getting actually beaten out by a mile. Now Kennesaw State again trying to set up an offense. Maybe not happening yet, actually. Aura a little too quick for it. Now St. Ambrose trying to get back the other way, but it's just not quite happening for him.
This, again, I made this comment last series during game 1. This is a very fast game 1. We're only 30 seconds in, and there's just a lot of general speed and demolitions and back and forth. I kiss off the crossbar, but unfortunately not going to be able to make the cut for that goal. It feels like I often talk about how game 1 can be kind of the learning pace, where you get to identify, are we the faster team, are we the offense, are we the defense, so on and so forth. But right now, this just feels like another one of those games where it's like, score right now, score right now. Like, it's just, there's no premeditation to it. It's a lot of reactive gameplay from all 6 players.
And how we see, it's Fear getting it in. You know, you saw that opportunity down the field. You had to feel like it was likely once he beats out 2 players, stuck in a 2v1, is Faceless Kraken. You know what? Some physicality coming out. Maybe the first time we'll see a meta like that tonight. It's Kennesaw State. Just over a minute in, gets the first goal of the series.
Oh my goodness, an immediate trade coming out there, bouncing in favor of Kennesaw. The ball down toward the goal of SAU. Oh, possibly a double tap if someone's there to follow through, but nobody was there to catch it. So that is St. Ambrose keeping that 1-0 disadvantage. But hey, it's not a 2-0, and that's what matters. If they're able to find just 1 point, they can really find a momentum boost in their favor. A great knockdown, but the follow through is just a little bit too short. Now it's going to be Shalonkers trying to find that opportunity once again. It is SAU back in that desperate position where they just need to get that ball away from their back third, but Kennesaw not letting that happen easily.
And you know, if you're St. Ambrose, you got to be kicking yourself for missing that one. It was a great pass off the ceiling. He had the read, but was just a little bit off on the shot. And now Kennesaw State might stretch it to 2, push right back into their hands, but off into the corner, trying to get it to safety. Tries to go after the defender, and it works out for them. St. Ambrose caught awkward, double tap, not able to be found. And the 50 is won out by St. Ambrose, but right back into him again. But the shot is wide. He tried to secure it. It was likely wide anyway, but a 2-0 lead is not in the hands of Kennesaw State. They cannot buy a goal.
That was 4 shots in a row that were almost in. And they were so close, but close only going to count in hand horse and shoe grenades, so that is just not going to be able to cut it there. That was half a game. I've seen probably 7 shots on goal. 1 of them has gone in.
It's been just incredible from both of these teams. You know, we'll go back to it again. Maybe those first game nerves, or maybe just trying to play the game a little bit too quick, given right into the hands of Kennesaw. But you know what? We'll make it 8. Another one just wide. They have another opportunity as Dolo takes it to the midfield. Flip reset over 1. He's got a teammate waiting in the mid. That one will bar down and go in. And it's finally a 2-0 lead for Kennesaw.
And Powder, let's take another look at this. That barely goes in. That hits the ground before it goes into goal. If they're lucky it bounced that way. Because if it bounced the other way, that was not going in. But hey, as a wise man once said, we absolutely take those. And Kennesaw, they find themselves up 2-0. We've got 2:10 left on the clock. It's been a rough road for them, but at the end of the day, you know, no matter how many shots you almost make, as long as you made more than your opponent, it's still a good game.
And that's kind of what Kennesaw is looking at now. A lot of missed shots, but you know what? They've got the only goals on the board so far, and that's all they care about right now. So they win another challenge to keep the possession on. Desperately going for that one. He actually works out perfectly. Slows it down to take the shot, but it's a bit too tight of an angle. And now maybe an opportunity for St. Ambrose. They're back out with the air dribble, but right into the hands of the defense, and it's Kennesaw quickly back on offense. Shot is too slow. St. Ambrose has got to figure out a way to get some sustained offense. It's not happening. It's into the hands of Aura. That's a 3-0 lead for Kennesaw.
You know, all of a sudden, I think we're about to get a whole new type of pattern, right? We thought it was going to be 4 3-0s, and then I was like, oh, wait, no, it's, you know, the opposing team won once. It might be a 2-2 situation. 2 home teams, 2 away teams going to be winning here right now. Kennesaw trying to make that happen. They've had a very shaky game one, but still a rather dominant one, I would say. If we're looking at ball control percentage, I think we're seeing kind of a 60-40 situation where Kennesaw seems to have ball control much, much more than St. Ambrose, maybe even leaning toward that 70-30 at this point. Just goal after goal. Perhaps another momentum-based team all over it.
Yeah, Kennesaw certainly playing like it, and St. Ambrose just struggling to really have an answer to the amount of pressure that Kennesaw is bringing. We're seeing somewhat similar to earlier on in the day when it just feels like desperation clears, like they just want to avoid being on defense, but because of it, they find themselves on defense because they give it away to them. There's another passing play, this one working out, but the shot much too wide. Kennesaw State will take over, and with just over 60 seconds left, it's really looking like Kennesaw will walk away with the Game 1 victory. St. Ambrose just needing anything they can to go into Game 2 with, because this one they're going to want to forget.
I mean, there were 60 seconds on the clock, 1 goal per 15 seconds just to tie things up, so really a difficult situation to win. But St. Ambrose, you know, in that weird situation where it's like we lost Game 1, but at the same time it's like, hey, we've only lost Game 1. The stars can be realigned. History can be rewritten, especially as St. Ambrose finds a pretty effective goal there. We see a demolition come through. They capitalize off the back into a goal. I mentioned that play back before Series 3. It's a textbook play, but a mighty effective one at that. And now as they find that goal in the final moment, can they carry the lion's share of momentum into Game 2?
Exactly, and you know, that, like you pointed out, that's not a garbage time goal either. That's a great play from St. Ambrose. The demolition, it certainly is. They got the challenge on the back wall as well to even get this play started. So St. Ambrose maybe with some chances to look towards in game number 2, maybe another one in the final seconds, but you know, it's Kennesaw State going back again. But I like the way that St. Ambrose is playing. It feels like they've cut down on the desperation. They've cut down on the panic. They might be able to walk into game 2 with a little more calmness and have themselves a better chance.
Yeah, I think the beginning of that St. Ambrose there was showing us a similar playstyle to what we saw from Full Sail Armada, right? Living up to that expectation of just get it out of my half. Just get it out of my back third, and then let's see what we can do. But I agree wholeheartedly. Toward the end there, it really seemed like they focused up. Maybe they cleared comms a little bit. They come through a lot stronger. They put 1 goal, the last goal of the game, on the board. Let's see if they can do that again in game 2. Can they tie things up early? Can they take a lead even? And maybe force our first and what would be only game 4 of today?
Yeah, we'll have to see how they can respond here in game 2. Again, you know, we've said it all day where it feels like these teams have chances, but past has showed us it's been 3-0s, but it feels like St. Ambrose has that chance that, you know, if they just don't let themselves get down early, if they don't go back to that panic, that they have a better chance here. They certainly weren't really dominated by Kennesaw in any sort of way other than just possession of the ball. Kennesaw simply controlled it more, had it in the offensive half more, and it just resulted in more opportunities and more goals. So if St. Ambrose can find that for themselves, they certainly have a better opportunity here in game 2.
Without a doubt, that opportunity for St. Ambrose is just seconds away as they're jumping into this game 2 of our 4th and final series today. It's hopefully going to be a close one. I think St. Ambrose has shown us that they absolutely have the capability, they have the potential of making it that close series. But Kennesaw, they've definitely also shown us, you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile, they're going to take a marathon if you let them.
They will, and as we get into game 2, it's also about how Kennesaw responds and how they continue kind of the gameplay that they had. And we'll see how everything goes as they're ready for the kickoff. A lot riding on St. Ambrose here to try to clean things up, not go back to the desperation, but Kennesaw certainly is going to try to bring it right back to them, force them to feel that desperation. You know, nothing's going to help that more than early offense. However, St. Ambrose does a good job of getting it out. They have an early shot here. He actually leaves it back for a teammate, but the defense read it in time. Off the corner, can they get the follow-up? Cut off by Kennesaw again. They'll send it back out.
Sending it back out into the void and into the goal. I did not think Shalonkers was going to have that. I cannot wait to catch a replay on this. Sends it up. Going to be a bit of an air ball here. Nobody's there in the immediate goal. No!
Yeah.
If either one of them was there, that was saved. But the problem is they were both there.
Yeah, that's one where that man in the middle, it's hard to see the players' names from that far back, but the one rotating through the middle of the net, you've got to leave that for your back post.
You've got to skedaddle.
Yeah, you got to get out of the way. He had it taken care of. Not sure if it was a miscommunication or what happened, but, you know, St. Ambrose will take that every day of the week. They have themselves a lead, and, you know, they can build on that. They made Kennesaw State break down in a way that we didn't see at all in Game 1. They might turn things right back around with a goal, and what a shot from Fear. It is put away, but Kennesaw kind of taken apart a little bit for that first goal.
And I'm going to say, Powder, I am really excited about that because we've immediately seen that there are cracks in the armor. And I want to see what St. Ambrose can do to capitalize off the back of that. If I haven't made this clear, I just really want a Game 4. I just want to go a little further than Game 3 today. I feel like that's not a lot to ask. And right now, Kennesaw, they are trying to make sure that that does not happen. They find that first goal on the board. We're tied up 1-1, basically back at that 0-0. And St. Ambrose, they just were given a lot more information than they may realize on how to capitalize off of Kennesaw.
They certainly were, but now Kennesaw with control off the kickoff, the air dribble straight in from Aura, and Kennesaw State says, nope, we are back, and Aura with the mechanical play to stretch it even further.
I am really surprised at the success of that goal. I think that eventually would have gone in. I did not expect it to happen on the first attempt there. There were two defenders in the way. I thought one of them was going to get in the way, but instead it goes right between them, finds its self-purchase, and all of a sudden, I think that was 15 in-game seconds. Kennesaw's in the lead, 2-1. They've got 3:38 left on the clock. We've only down 90 seconds with a lot of time remaining for either team to turn this around just like that. Shalonker into the center field. There, a great pass from a teammate. I unfortunately didn't catch the name, so Aura catches it. Somebody's there to find it, but it's Shalonker that's able to smack it into goal. Tie things up 2-2, 3:33 on the clock. Powder, this is the game we wanted.
It certainly is, and that is the play that St. Ambrose can go back to. Passing plays, midfield passing plays can be deadly against teams. In Kennesaw, you know, that might be their weakness. They were taken apart by that one there. And we'll see as they march back the other way if they can get another goal to regain their lead. But St. Ambrose has started to find those cracks like you mentioned, but you know what? Kennesaw State doing it too, and it's quick counterattacks that work out for them.
It's those quick, sneaky counterattacks that work out well for them. And I want to say, and I'm 95% sure I'm right on this, that 2-2 is the first time we've seen a draw today that was not 1-1. That's the first time we've seen teams draw past the 1-1 scoreline. And that goes to show how close these teams can be in caliber. And I'm hoping St. Ambrose can write a different story, because nearly every series we've seen today have been two teams that felt like they could be close in caliber, but one of them really ran away with it. I want to see St. Ambrose break that streak. I want to see them rewrite history. And now, with a little bit of ball control, maybe they're able to do just that. A great pass down into center field as a bounce up and off into the corner from Aura, getting ball control back to St. Ambrose. Going to go up and over Dolo and toward the goal of KSU. Can they find it? No, it's going to be blocked out. And that will be that 3-2 scoreline remaining as we get ready to enter the second half of Game 2.
But you know what? If you're St. Ambrose, keep going back to that. It is working. The shots are being found. If you go for those midfield passes, yeah, they saved it that time, but he's sitting in the middle of the net. You just got to place it a little bit on each side. Oh, but Aura still finding their way through, and Kennesaw State just doing anything they can to keep this lead.
I think we need to rewatch who that bounces off of. No, okay, it is Aura. I thought that was an own goal. That's why I yelled no like that. But no, it did bounce off of Aura. So that is a much better goal than I expected. Kennesaw, they find a true purchase there. Yeah, I was devastated for a second. I was like, no way you lose to an own goal. But it was Aura that found it. And speaking of Aura, has great ball control up and above. But instead, are you kidding? Is that it?
Good shot.
Amazing shot. Holy cow. Like, what a calculation from center field. Schlonker's up and off, goes right over all three members of KSU. Doesn't quite tie things up, but I want to point something out. We saw a goal at 3-3-3, and we've now seen a goal at 2-2-2.
Well, we got to wait a minute and 11 seconds. Maybe we'll get the 1-1-1. But, you know, St. Ambrose, that's the kind of shot you see that when you're a player, you see the net is open, and you think to yourself, all I got to do is hit it on. And you know what? He got it done. Brings it back within one. Sometimes those can be the hardest ones to make because you can see it's completely open, but he sticks through it, gets the goal, brings them back within just a single goal. Less than 2 minutes left, so they got plenty of time to make the comeback, but Kennesaw State winning out challenges to try to keep the offense going. That went into the midfield. Played slowly by Kennesaw. Oh no, not the play that they wanted. Pushed forward. Can he catch up to it? Takes one off the field. That demolition might have come in clutch, but they get back in time. They make the stop, and Kennesaw State will return to offense.
That demo was crazy unlucky for St. Ambrose. You're like, hey, we demoed somebody, but it threw you off course, and it immediately made that goal impossible. Schlonker's going to go for another one. I believe that would be a hat trick if Schlonker's could find that third goal. And they even find the fourth, though, as a team with 80 seconds left on the clock. They're getting ready to find that opportunity to strike, but instead being blocked out by a phenomenal defense from Kennesaw.
Still time remaining. The shot coming in, cut off by the defense. And now a 1 out by Kennesaw. This is a dangerous opportunity. He's got to race back. He goes a little bit too quick, and it works out in favor of Kennesaw. Just giving it around the defender. Gives it back to a 2-0 lead.
Golly, that is going to be a 2 lead, like you said here, Powder. 5-3, a minute on the clock, so 1 goal per 31 seconds here from St. Ambrose. It's doable. It's absolutely doable. They need to go back to the bread and butter. Those center field goals were going crazy. Even the ones that weren't landing, almost were. That was the highest level of success we have seen from St. Ambrose so far, but now Kennesaw doing such a good job not letting them set up. There's no ball control. There's no hyper level of aggression. It's just Kennesaw with the ball control, I'd say 80% of the time since St. Ambrose's last goal.
And St. Ambrose got desperate there. Faceless Kraken. If you're the man there, kind of last man back, because you can see your teammate rotating behind you, you either have to go straight up for that or you've got to get into net. Instead, he goes for the challenge, but no chance of getting up in time. The shot is in, and game 2 almost secure now. Still a little bit of life, but it's just not happening when they don't have the offense. St. Ambrose might have to go back to it and try to figure out how to get a reverse sweep, because, I mean, they have a chance in this series. We've seen in this game where it's been the closest we've seen all day, how they have these opportunities. They take advantage of the mistakes Kennesaw makes, but it's just a matter of putting it all together and getting it into a win. Otherwise, we'll be seeing one final 3-0 sweep on the night.
Oh man, and Aura with the punctuation, the exclamation at the end of your sentence there, Powder. They are looking for that 3-0. And I've got to say, this, I think, you might agree with me on this, has been the closest, like the most back and forth series we've seen so far. A lot of times it's like, oh, game 1 was close, and then somebody stops. But this time it's really been, even in game 2 here, it's been neck and neck until, I'd say, the last minute or so.
It certainly has been, and you know, it's hard when you're St. Ambrose to lose by 4, maybe 3 if they can get one here. It's put away. Maybe he slows it down, but you know what? It'll die. When you lose by 4, it can be hard to look at that and be like, you know what? We played well. We kept it close, but they really did, and it's not just a cliche either. It really wasn't blown open until the final minute or so. But for St. Ambrose, it's just about slowing down and not allowing Kennesaw State to get these quick counterattacks that they're doing so well.
Yeah, the very first play we saw from St. Ambrose back in game 1 was the one I mentioned between series 1 and 2, where somebody's bringing the ball toward goal, a teammate comes in, they demo the goalie, open goal, usually a free point. We saw it immediately. I was like, okay, this team, if they stick to the book here, they stick to the plays, it's going to be a great level of success. But then they kind of immediately gave up on it. Things got a little bit shaky. I was a little bit worried. Then they went back. They found those center goals a lot, and that's where I think they need to remain. I think they can scratch the original playbook, but stick to what they showed us was working. And like I said, even the goals that weren't going in were the closest goals they were finding. So there was a great level of success there. I think if they kept that up, St. Ambrose really could have won game 2 there.
They really could have, and going into game 3, they've got to get back to that style of gameplay, you know. It felt good there as they went back and forth, but Kennesaw just was allowed to just gain more and more momentum, more and more control. And you know, that's been another common theme tonight, is just control from these teams. And now Kennesaw is that team who has the majority of it, something that St. Ambrose has to find a way to shut down, whether that's through physicality, whether that's through their own gameplay that they showed us earlier. They need to find a way back to it, otherwise they'll be dropping this one in a sweep.
Possibly our 4th sweep of the night. 4 in a row would be a little bit bonkers, but I mean, hey, one of these teams had to walk away victorious. Maybe they're just doing it as fast as humanly possible. Already 13 seconds off the clock. Nobody with that ball control. Yeah, it looks like KSU wants to find it. A little bit of miscommunication there. One player from KSU goes one way, one goes another, but at the end of the day, they find that goal, and that's what matters. They put that first point on board exactly 20 seconds off the clock.
Kennesaw, you know, showing in game 3, they want this sweep early goal there, and it's just back to the possession that they continuously have held throughout this series. St. Ambrose just needs any sort of way, physicality, demolitions, their own possessions to try to shut that down. Otherwise, it's more of the same. Kind of a double commit there from Kennesaw State, but the whiff from Faceless Kraken, it's a wide open net, and what do you know? It's a 2-0 lead for Kennesaw State.
2-0 lead in less than a minute, less than 40 seconds, 35 seconds taken off the clock, and 2 points already put on the board from Kennesaw. They are large and in charge right now, Powder. It is their series to lose. Let's see how far they're going to take that.
And St. Ambrose, you know, it's rough going down 2-0 only 35 seconds in, but you know what? That's still plenty of time to make the comeback. It's just that they cannot allow this possession and this control to continue for Kennesaw State. It might be happening though. Again, drop down off the crossbar, can't quite find it, but Faceless Kraken does eventually get up to it. Off the side now, they do go back the other way. Sap looking for the redirect. Can he nail it home? He can. What a play to get him back into it.
What a play indeed here. That is going to be St. Ambrose putting themselves back on the board, and I'm going to say relatively quickly. We've still got 4 minutes on the clock. They are down by only a single point, and we have seen how close they've come, Powder, being able to turn things around, and I've got some real confidence they're going to be able to do that here. Immediate ball control in their favor, snapped away for just a moment. Faces Kraken goes up high. That is an open goal. If KSU are faster, and they do with the crossbar. The fourth player to save the day is going to be taken out by Faceless Kraken once again, but he just cannot move fast enough. Dolo with what may have been the quadruple try, possibly the tertiary, but either way, it was done. And that's another point on the board for Kennesaw, putting them right back in the lead with that 3-1.
And that's so hard to see if you're St. Ambrose, because you got the stop, but if it does anything other than bounce off the crossbar, or off the post, I should say, it's likely just a save, and it's still 2-1, but just unfortunate placement with getting desperate for the save, because you're in the last moment, you got to get it done, and ends up finding its way in. Now an opportunity, though, beats him out on the 50. Now he needs this goal. It's just a bit wide. Now another pass off the back wall, but the third man is just rotating back. More offense for Kennesaw State towards the net, cut off by the defense. And you just feel it building more and more for Kennesaw State. Another opportunity being given. Powerful shot, stopped, but straight down. It will allow Kennesaw State to build more and more offense, just not allowing St. Ambrose to get anything going as they put in their fourth.
The fourth one on the board, 3:13 on the clock. We're looking at 1 goal per like minute and something. So St. Ambrose, they're definitely down, but they are by no means out. They've got enough potential. We've seen some great performances coming through from them so far. They just need to do it a little more consistently, I guess. They need to be doing it with a little more time on the clock, because they give us 1 great goal every like 2 minutes. We need those like every 30 seconds.
Yeah, we saw a great team play to get their sole goal of this game, but oh no, and it's a 5th for Kennesaw State. That one just an unfortunate 50 on the side of St. Ambrose, but you know what? It's just all in favor of Kennesaw State as they continue towards their sweep.
Moving in toward that sweep and moving in quickly, I will say. We're up 5-1, not even 2 full minutes off the clock yet. We aren't even at halftime, and all of a sudden, things are looking just really good for KSU.
And more offense for Kennesaw State. St. Ambrose wanting anything, you know, still time to make the comeback, a 4-goal comeback, you know, rare to see in Rocket League, and it actually will turn into 5. Kennesaw State, similar to what we've seen all day today, games 2 and 3 just get more and more dominating from them as they continue to get warmed up. Kennesaw State's showing exactly why they are one of those teams here tonight.
Kennesaw, they are really just high caliber performance right now, Powder. I really have to agree. I mean, this is why does this keep happening? It's like game 1 really close, game 2, I mean, pretty good, and the game 3 I think has been a shutout 4 times in a row. It has just been dominant from one team 4 times in a row. And Kennesaw, they are living up to tell that tale as well. 6-1, 2:30 on the clock, a full second half of the game. And if that mythical second half buff is ever going to kick in for SAU, that needs to happen right here, right now. They need to score 5 times in 2.5 minutes. Just to draw, not even to win.
Yeah, and I want to say they have a chance, but it's one of those things you rarely, if ever, see in Rocket League, especially at this high of a level. It's just these players, they're so consistent that like you just simply don't see that many mistakes. But you know what? It maybe starts there. You know, get 1 goal in, suddenly you're down to 4, and it's a little more manageable.
Hey, 1 goal per 30 seconds right now. That's pretty doable. I mean, we've seen Kennesaw do that in this game. The problem is level of aggression and momentum. It's SAU hasn't been a super aggressive team. We haven't seen them scoring once every 30 seconds. We've seen them scoring once every 2 or 3 minutes. They're really going to have to change their play style and just general level of speed if they want to score 4 more times in a minute 50.
Yeah, and they gotta get it in immediately. Like you said, you gotta basically keep up to that strict timeline, but they're getting it going. Now 1:43 left. They get another one in to cut it down to 3.
Powder, I hate to say I'm getting a little excited. I don't want to get my hopes up too much, but like I'm hopeful that KSU is going to be able to come through, or excuse me, that SAU is going to be able to come through, tie things up, give us an overtime. What a way to end the night. I mean, it would be phenomenal, to say the very least. But with 100 seconds left, 3 goals. They need 1 goal per 33 seconds right now. We're still at that 30-second marker. They're really putting these away right now, Powder. If they can keep this up, there's real potential here.
There certainly is, and Kennesaw State, you might get a little more stressed out if you start giving away 2 goals in a row like that, and a double commit down the field isn't going to help things either. Can't get the double tap either, but St. Ambrose not fully gaining possession right away. Cannot catch up to the boost either. Said he'll steal their corner, but you got to get this into the net basically right now to keep along with that timeline. Yeah. Kept up and away from Kennesaw State. Net is open. Oh. The shot is on and it's in, and suddenly St. Ambrose is certainly within this series.
There's no way. There's no way. We are still, Powder, get this, 2 minutes later, we are still at 1 goal per 30 seconds. That's where we're sitting right now. 32 seconds per goal for SAU to tie things up. They've got a minute 4 on the clock. We said they needed to do one thing: increase their pace of play. And they heard us. They ran with it. They pedal to the metal right now. They're not putting KSU against the wall quite yet, but by golly, are they?
That's not a good
close.
Save either. The demolition!
Are you serious?
Seb,
this will be the comeback of the century.
I think they've got a little bit of life. The demolition, physicality. We've mentioned it earlier, and what do you know? All of a sudden, that timeline shifts to you have 52 seconds on the clock to get the game-tying goal. And let's see how they play with it.
So close. This is... I cannot wait to see what SAU does. Even if they lose, I'm so impressed by what they've brought out here in Game 3. They've got 37 seconds left on the clock. The ball hurtling toward their goal. It's going to be blocked out there. There's a huge opportunity for them to keep this on the line. 30 seconds remaining. Let's see what they're going to be able to do to catch all ball momentum down in the corner. It goes up and off of Sap. Keeps it away from that goal. But KSU, they are hounding these and they are peppering them toward St. Ambrose. And with only 20 seconds left, Powder, they do not want to come this close just to lose in the final moments.
They don't. No, it's a one-on-one, but he gives the ball a little bit too far away. That shot is on, and that may just seal it. Aura all the way down the field. Unfortunate if you're a St. Ambrose fan, but what life it gave to the end of this series if this ends up being it. 4 in a row to bring it within 1, and yeah, they give up 1 right there, but what a fight from St. Ambrose to come back down from 5.
They gotta be proud. They got my heart rate bouncing there. I mean, what a performance. I mean, like you said, unfortunately, they're going to have to kiss this goodbye in a 3-0, but I would say I'm satisfied with the performance we saw from them tonight. This was a really close series all the way through and through. I don't think we saw a larger score separation than 3, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong on that. That was also, fun fact, our highest scoring game of the evening. So there's another little fun fact for you, 7-5. And that was a really solid performance. Even if St. Ambrose lost, that's the type of team that I think you said this between games. If that happens again in 4 weeks, St. Ambrose probably wins that. If that's the best of 7, yeah. St. Ambrose might win that. Like, there's a real potential in that team there.
There certainly is, and it's just a matter of, we'll talk about it again coming into week 2. Some of these teams might be a little more warmed up. Some of them might be a little more ready than others, and it feels like that's been the case tonight. So, unfortunately for St. Ambrose, they dropped this one. But still a great fight. And you know what? That's the team you want on your roster. A team who, despite being down 6-1 with 2 minutes left, scores 4 in a row to bring it down within 1. And they nearly got the 5th one in to tie it up, but a little bit short. But it's the fight that you like to see.
Yeah, and speaking of things being a little bit short here, Powder, we unfortunately do not have time for that interview, as we do have to go ahead and call it a night. So I think I'll begin my little Oscar speech fanfare moment. A huge shout out to Powder for hanging out with me and doing all these broadcasts in our first week. We'll be back for many, many more. So we hope you all enjoyed. A huge shout out to our production team in the back line, making everything possible. A huge shout out to all 8 teams we saw today. 8 phenomenal performances. And of course, all of you for watching. A super big thanks to Extra Life, Corsair, Monster, BetterHelp, Duncan, and Mavix for everything they make possible. Everything you guys see here, they make possible. And of course, I think that's it, actually. I don't know why I said, of course. I think that's everybody I forgot. We've got more games for you guys this week. It was Rocket League today. It's Call of Duty on Wednesday. It's Smash Ultimate on Thursday. And it is CSGO on Friday. And eventually, Overwatch 2 is going to be thrown into that mix. So go ahead, guys. Drop a follow on the channel. Go follow NACE on Twitter. Or you can follow Powder or myself on Twitter if you'd like to keep updates on what's going on here at NACE day after day, week after week. For now, that's all we've got for you. Check your posture. Drink some water. Don't forget to love each other. We'll see you guys next time. Enjoy the rest of your night.